Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Phil's Recap and Review. The Walking Dead, the ones who live, the season finale, maybe the series finale of this particular miniseries. And we're here to talk about this. And this was the conclusion to this season, and they didn't let you forget about it. I don't even know where to start with this one, Joe. I can't do any pretense of enjoying this too much. But let me introduce everyone. If you want to call in, we have a phone number here tonight, 781-990-8509. You can text that, and of course, we have the live chat with us right now. And jump on in, share your thoughts, and we may be a certain way about this episode, but if you're another way, I want to hear reasons why you liked it, maybe why you didn't like it, those kinds of things. But ultimately, okay, Joe, back in the day, like when we grew up, a lot of times TV shows would in the middle of the season, kind like The Facts of Life or Growing Pains or any of those kind of sitcom shows, in the middle of the season, they would do a clip show where instead of doing a full episode, I think even like Seinfeld and Friends still did clip shows.
It started last week, dude.
But this was a real clip show. They
did it with Jadis.
Yeah, but this was the next level. They even was showing us clips of earlier in the season.
Yep.
Like in the Beale conversation.
With the Beale conversation clip, yep.
And I felt bad for Terry because he's a great actor and they gave him crap all to do. I was hoping that they were leading up to something, maybe littering him for another series. But
the only reason why he agreed to do this was so he could say, I was a zombie on The Walking Dead.
But that was one of the most stupid looking zombies I've seen in my entire life. Did he just not want to sit in the makeup chair too long? Because even his buddy got more zombified than he did. That guy who just came out, and he's got to be the stupidest commander I've ever seen in my life. Okay, he calls Rick in there, whatever, and he goes, put down your gun, put down your knife. But he doesn't have a guard there to frisk him or a guard right outside the office. Like when he gets stabbed through the hand, he doesn't scream. I don't know. This was a tough one for me, Joe, because there's not much I can lop onto. It felt rushed at the end. It almost had that How I Met Your Mother finale finish where we get a little montage of a voiceover telling us everything that happened.
You found him. How did you, like the exposition during the final fight, you found him. How did you... True love.
And then it jumps right into that radio broadcast exposition.
She said to blaze.
And then the dialogue at the end, can you call me daddy? I'll call you Carl. And I don't like to trash kid actors, but first Rick shows up. Judith doesn't even run to him, doesn't even look at him. She's like, you're not my dad. Shane's my dad anyway. But she goes and hugs Michonne. Then she looks at him and goes, maybe I'll say hi to you. And then they have the most unemotional reunion of all time. And then RJ comes over and they got to get take two.
The brave man?
Yeah, they got to get take two on that kid. They got to get take two on that kid.
Judith wasn't telling him the whole time Mom's been gone. She'd bring him back dad. But the brave man. She still knows this guy as the brave man.
Joe, some of the worst dialogue I've heard in a long time. Joe, this is a line from this episode.
This whole season was written by college student interns.
This was extra bad. This episode for me was like the dialogue in it was extra bad.
Gilliam should never be should be fired from AMC.
You mean Gimple?
For what he did, Gimple, from what he did to this fucking franchise. Gimple should be fired from AMC, and no one should hire this hack. Ever again.
But Joe, I knew you were going to be here tonight on the podcast because I believed, because you're the brave man, and I'm going to call you Dad, and I'm going to call you Carl. Like what the fuck? But again, there was so many flashbacks to previous Walking Dead just for no reason. Like every character got a little slight out tonight. They showed Rick cutting Negan's head. Maybe if they showed him biting the face in that scene, it made sense. But they got high on it or something. They just didn't have enough material at the end. But what was interesting about it is it still felt crazy rushed at the end.
It was extremely rushed, dude. Okay, listen. So they're like,
oh God, I did not like this episode.
I have to give it props that for once in The Walking Dead, in a long
we get a happy ending.
we get our character knifing a motherfucker in the moment when he should actually be knifing a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like, you don't do it in the room, this moment, right here, right now. You might never get another chance to cut this guy's throat. right? He's always protected. He's always going to be sending you somewhere. He's almost always around other people, and there's other people around.
I can't believe he wasn't around. I can't believe he didn't have a guard outside the room.
Anybody outside the room where nobody hears the fight. He's able to leave the room, get a bin, come back, load the body up, leave with it again.
And then he finally sees a guy in the elevator, but at that point, whatever. Michonne's able to just sneak into the secret briefing, la-di-da. The whole metaphor...
Well, trope number, like, you could count the tropes in this too, like, right down to, like, Rick's got the bin, but of course it leaks.
Oh, it's got to leak, yeah.
Of course, the guy doesn't notice until he's about to step off the elevator.
And then the guy's stronger than him, he beats him up. But do you know what the most perfect... I'm not going to compare thing that happened in this episode that really symbolized how I feel about this whole fucking thing, Joe, is where did Michonne find Jadis's secret plans? Inside a cat's ass. Inside a cat's ass. Doesn't that just wrap this whole season up so perfect?
I want to say she might have mentioned I think there's reference to a cat's ass somewhere in her beginning.
Well, good. I'm
glad that you didn't see the Father Gabriel paintings all over the place.
I'm glad
I counted at least two. One right next to the cat's ass and one on the easel below it.
Oh well, cat's ass and a horse's ass.
But she was painting Father Gabriel the whole time, a lot of the time too.
Killmonger says this shit got tied up perfectly. It was like a fantasy. In other words, Rick pulled a Joe. Great show. I like the whole thing from front to back. Rick Grimes, you're not the father. I'm surprised Rick made it back. We got Santovia Major. We got Johnny Tabasco. Rick ate a frag grenade with no injury. We're going to get to that.
We'll get there. First, I love that Michonne, she leaves the briefing. She's all distraught and she walks by. She stops at the roof that she climbed up to get in this place, right? She stops and she goes back because she can't leave it alone. But luckily, she just walked by a dozen cases of fucking grenades.
Oh yeah, it happens.
Sitting there, whoever left them just left them right there out in the open. Nobody around.
Joe, a couple more comments here. Yeah, no one's guarding him. I love how in every one of these fights too, no one's.
It was probably supposed to be like everybody on your way out of the briefing, don't forget to grab a grenade at the door.
Everyone gets one. Yeah, to-go prizes. But none of these guards scream or try to alert anybody else when they're in a fight. In the elevator, that dude's just like doesn't say anything. Let's Rick just kill it. Whatever. I just want to take
not a word, not a scream, not a yell.
Not a yell, not even a fraction of anything. Johnny Tabasco says, wow, the finale was mind-blowingly stupid. Akula says, I can't believe how many dumb people I'm seeing defending RJ. And Mark A. Houston says, stupid episode, such a rushed process at the end. But Joe.
Yeah. It was completely rushed. What a waste of Beale.
But Joe, maybe we are wrong. Let's read some of the comments that I read on about this episode before I watched it. This is from, we're not going to say these people's names because they're these bots' names.
They make money doing this, apparently.
Whatever. Loved the episode. Just finished it 10 minutes ago. Joe, I'm bawling. Now I'm rethinking what Carol tried to tell Daryl through the radio in the last episode of the first season, because we did get something about the genetically enhanced walker thing, and I know that connects to the other show. Another comment. The last episode was amazing. I so hope I get to see some more Rick with that indestructible hand of his. I just finished it, says SQ. I'm crying like a baby. Lisa Winter says, I can't wait to watch this episode again. Danielle says, it was a great episode as Rick and Michonne, but as far as the CRM, the storyline made no sense. Yeah, thank you.
It didn't make any sense. It made zero sense. And I knew you'd come back. Like, Daryl, what a shit fucking... He spent 5 years looking for Rick. He was just over the fucking river in fucking Philly. Right? Yeah. He's in fucking Paris looking for the motherfucker.
Oh my gosh. Here we go. If you have a problem and you can't find him, get the A-team. Tracy G sums this up. What we're going to say in 2 hours, Tracy G sums up in 4 words. This episode wasn't it. No.
Everything was so convenient for them. The grenades, being alone with Beale to kill him.
Dude, the Beale...
Everything from the moment they jump out of the helicopter has got to be their life, and then a dream flashing before their eyes.
Joe,
because everything works out for them from that moment on. like magic.
This goddamn
Like
Beale,
already,
Joe.
yeah.
This goddamn Beale. I love John Law. I love this actor, Terry. I feel so bad for him. They made him the dumbest mother grabber I've ever seen in my life. He is so stupid. He's the worst. I want to play poker against this guy because he's that dumb. Rick is sitting there, like, reaching down into his knife, and the guy's, kiss my sword. He didn't realize till Rick was standing up with the knife. He's like, stop, blah. And then he went to go stop a sword with his hand. But Rick's able to grab his weapon as he's jumping over the table, grabs his indestructible hand thing, puts it on. John Locke doesn't think to frisk him before the knife, says enough to put your gun on the table and your weapon on the table, but again, doesn't have a backup guard standing outside the door. This is the most important guy in the CRM. You don't let this guy go. If you're his circle of, red warriors or wherever they are, you're telling me that two of those guys aren't always following the Emperor around, Joe? Like,
Exactly.
come, at least two guys are just standing outside the door. Like, I'm rewatching Deep Space Nine. Every time you see a Vorta, there's at least two Jem'Haddas standing next to them, even if the rest of them are in some training situation. And that's silly Star Trek. In this real life,
There's enough people in this place that have been forced into 6 years of fucking servitude, that have seen friends and loved ones get eaten because of it, that have had to do things they didn't want to do. There's going to be enough people even living there that even amongst the powerful governing class of, like, the actual population, not the military, right? Like, that want this guy dead, that would kill this guy in a heartbeat if given the chance. There's no way he's not walking around with two souls. Like, I give this briefing alone. I go stand alone at my fucking
2,000 times
shooting. Like, yeah, like, I can't fathom that nobody's killed this motherfucker yet.
He's obviously very easy. He can't fight with that sword. He's throwing a sword at a guy who's blocking with a side hand, and he's just coming at him so stupid. And Rick must be the greatest fighter of all time. He can just beat anybody in a fight. I can accept that, whatever. But still, this Beale, it sucked, and he didn't take the zombies serious. You look like the stupidest zombie I've seen in my life.
I'm thinking about your flashbacks, and something keeps hitting me that I remembered.
When The Walking Dead was good, because we got to see some clips from The Walking Dead when it was good.
Was at one point during the conversation that he's having with Rick, and the flashbacks are going, they talk about family.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And yeah, they show Rick cutting Negan's throat, but, like, they do talk about family, and Negan is one of those people that they show as being,
he's
like,
thinking about Negan. He is thinking
right. Come on.
Negan's a good guy now.
It's just this whole episode was fucking foolish and stupid.
It was stupid. It was a clip show that reminded me of better times, and by showing all those clips, again, it reminds you of how pathetic what we're watching right now is. Let's kick a couple more comments before we go in. Santovia Major says Thorne looked like a complete idiot. She did. We haven't talked about her yet, but when we finally do hear the secret sauce, the thing that this dude's told people for 1,000,000 years or 2,000 different people, that once they hear this, they're all in on the mission. It's so stupid. Again, it's what that in 14 years, people. How many years has he been selling this? Does he keep subtracting years?
He starts out by scaring the person. In 14 years,
we're all going to die.
All we have left, because there'll be no food. There'll be too many people for the food we can produce, and if that doesn't get us all the rotting and disease and mutated diseases and all the rest of it, that will kill us. So he puts absolute fear, and the only way to do it is my way, which is to kill this other city.
Yeah,
like it's a complete and utter fucking con speech.
But it's a bad one.
Exactly, and anybody that's an alpha should immediately be like, wait a second, so that's what we're doing now. We're killing exactly what you touted Ulkel for doing, killing the military because they were going to kill a city. Like, I just don't understand. None of it makes any logical sense.
No, and
at all.
And from the point in the earlier half of the season where Thorne was more similar to the way that Rick was thinking, if we're going to think that she heard what Beale said and she drank the Kool-Aid 100% to the point where she's like, oh, I'm all in of this. When you hear what he hears, you're going to be like, oh my God.
Until she heard love doesn't die.
No,
Then
Joe,
she changed her mind again.
You got to say it twice. Fuck Arnold Schwarzenegger. Fuck I'll Be Back. Fuck Sly and his love doesn't die. No, love does not die. You gotta say it a second time, Joe, and then remember when I said I'd kill you last? I lied. Love will always last. Love doesn't die. Love doesn't die. The governor beats Rick's ass every time they fought. I was expecting some people from Walking World Beyond to show up with that. Tell me that they're coming off from another spin-off show. That's ultimately why they did all those clips of all those characters, to show that it's all coming back together one day. And I guess we did get a little bit. I haven't watched the Daryl show, but when they talked about, when we got another flash of the Daryl show with the super zombie thing, isn't that from the Daryl show? And that they've sent, that the CRM has sent over other A's over there to be
working. They were part of what Shanghai,
right, to be experimented on. So that's going to continue on with the CRM story. But still, I think you keep Beale around. Remember last week you and I were talking about they can't kill both Thorne and Beale in the next episode. There's not enough time. You know, one of them's probably going to be a carryover to another series and be like a long-term adversary that you're going to kind of build up. But no, they just killed them both in stupid action scenes that made no sense and were so ridiculously done, poorly shot. And again, I've been defending this season. I am not as down on this season as a whole as Joe is, in the sense that I was generally entertained for most of the season. This episode was my least favorite of the season because it's only about 15. It was only about 15 minutes of content, Joe. And I don't mean content. I just mean 15 minutes of an actual story. And then it was about 30 minutes of clips or 30 minutes of extended montage-y kind of shit where we got a longer voiceover or some panning shots of them standing above. They brought back something from a previous episode instead of doing something new with the gas. They were like, we like the way the gas looked in that other episode. Let's bring it back here too, because it'll make the whole scene look a little cooler. And
and a tarp and some water and a wet cloth is fine. That's all you need to protect yourself from it.
Yeah. Apparently the little guy Michonne that had couldn't figure that out. Like, what the fuck? Okay, Luna says, are they saying that all the elite soldiers were briefed with the echelon plan and no one else thought it fucked up? Yeah, give me a break, Luna. Exactly.
2,000 other people were briefed and were like, yeah,
sure.
Let's kill Portland and Omaha. Let's murder all of those people. And that's just it.
Except for the kids.
You're Rick, right? And you're hearing this and you're basically told the plan is this. The plan is, in order for this half of our twin cities now to survive, we are going to go kill the other half, and we want you on board with that. So Rick can then say to himself, okay, I can help you go murder all of these people, or I can murder all of us instead. I'll do that. I'll do that because if I don't make it, I die too, and if I do make it, I murdered. Like, the plan still succeeds, Beale. We still get rid of half the people, so that way, whatever. You're still getting you're still getting half your plan done here. We're gonna eliminate all these people to make the surviving fucking supplies last longer. There you go.
Sonic says, Phil, am I the brave man? I would rather you call me Dad, and I'm gonna call you Carl. So let's do that, Sonic Carl. We got I'm glad they wrapped this up so they don't need another season of this crap. I added crap to that Killmonger. Rick reuniting with his family was awesome. It would have been awesome if they built it up more. I like that they actually gave us that conclusion at the end. It was just the dialogue in that scene was so poorly written. It was disgusting. And again,
dialogue in almost every scene is disgustingly poorly written.
And it got yada-yada'd. They just drove back. I mean, I guess they just got a helicopter back, but they just show back up and they're like, hey. And I thought the scene was filmed and written stupid, but I do like that they met up with them. And I feel like if I'm trying to get some compliments about this episode, I thought Rick's delivered that dialogue really well. I think Dania was good in this episode. She was probably the best part of the episode was Michonne, and that's not saying much, but her scenes, like her watching, because we got to see not be told something, Joe. Like when she's in the room looking at the kid stuff, or even in Jadis's room, like when she rips everything up and doesn't think, and then she has to start picking it up. It was actually almost a real moment. When she's in the movie theater and she's watching the clips about, the programming about the kids, don't tell the kids it's going to be all right, just grab them and put them somewhere and all that. They don't say anything. They just show her eyes under the mask. And I think she did a good job displaying like the horror that she was feeling in that scene. And then with the scene when she picks up the doll and I thought the good stuff, if I'm reaching for good nuggets in the piece of shit there, I think the Michonne stuff was good in this episode.
I don't know. I'm not particularly fond of the Michonne stuff, the Rick stuff, the Beale stuff, the Thorne stuff. The writing was so bad. The actors in the performances they gave could not cover up for any of it.
I can't.
I'm sorry. I'm not gonna.
I can't argue with
it. These are accredited good actors that have been cast to do a job and given absolute fucking trash to work with.
No,
there's at no point in the writing did three-quarters of it doesn't make sense at any point in time. Any part of any plot, any part of any conversation, you get nonsensical crap and
Joe, you want to hear a comment?
I have a lot of thought about it, but it's useless to keep going because it's all going to drive down this point of it doesn't matter what your actors are doing. We've all seen great actors in horrible movies trying to just make that extra buck or get by to the next paycheck or whatever.
Marlon Brando made a career of it after The Godfather.
It's sad to see that so much has gone into this production, and it really feels wasted. It feels like it wasn't even just all about fan service. It was like, we just want to give the fans a happy ending. Like, it really felt like that's exactly. At no point did you feel in danger for anybody, for either of these two characters, in the least. At any point did you feel danger for them? I sure didn't. Like, right down to the Jadis walks in and wakes them up. Wake up! I need to tell you my plan, and that I admired you for surviving.
Before I shoot you. The only time I felt danger or anything, and I'll freely admit the first episode with the flashback of Rick and everything he'd went through when he's trying to kill himself essentially, or trying to get out of there. I thought that was probably the best of the season, thinking back in retrospect. But Joe, some people's more comments about this episode. These are real people. I swear, real people that said this. Best episode in the Walking Dead franchise. Well done.
Bullshit. Before you get to more of those. I just have to say this. In all of that, you get to the point. Listen, if I've gotten to the point where I'm going to cut my own fucking arm off to try to escape, and I do that, and that doesn't work, Beale sits down on a bench with me in the middle of the park. He's dead right then and there. I'm
gonna bite his neck off.
Right? You're not that broken. You're I cut my hand off. This didn't show you should have killed me. Now I have a chance to kill you right now, and he didn't take it on that bench. That's how bad this is.
Killmonger, absolutely. Someone else said that earlier too, and we'll get to it when we get to it in the recap. But for a second, I thought Rick blew himself up. Everyone probably thought Rick could have blown himself up.
I didn't think Rick blew himself
but
up.
He
already blew himself up on the bridge. They repeated the same fucking moment.
Or a different kind of moment.
He wasn't lost. He didn't have anywhere to get blasted.
No, this time he was literally holding a grenade in front of him, and somehow, or I guess
the zombie shield.
He zombie shielded himself. Yes, he did. He jumped in the refrigerator. Love doesn't die.
The good thing was, is if you're wondering why he wasn't bit, it's because most of them probably still had their fucking masks on.
Yeah, I guess that explains it. I would have to rewatch the scene again and see. honestly, the
When
best.
playing with gas weapons in warfare like that, it's good to have a mask on that you need to take off before you put your gas mask on.
Now,
That way you can save time and lives.
the more you know. Joe, I have to say the best Walking Dead thing I saw this year now is the half a second that, and I know you're not caught up and you probably won't be watching for a while, but on one of the more last two episodes, I can't remember if it was this week's or the week before, episode of Invincible. There's a moment where Invincible's going quickly through dimensions, or someone's going quickly through dimensions, and he stops for a second in the Walking Dead universe, where you see like somebody standing in the middle of the street and some zombies walking down the street. It's a quick little flash in there for a Walking Dead show. And it was really kind of cool. It made me want to see an animated Walking Dead series just because I like the style that they were doing. I'm like, oh, this is better than this half a second clip is better than the entirety of this season finale. DJ Betters in the live chat says this was rushed. And I think even people that would like this episode and that would think you and I are being grumpy old Muppets right now would have to admit, I think, unarguably, that this episode felt rushed at the end.
Can I also? It definitely feels rushed, and I want to bring up one more thing. These fucking masks are getting have bugged me this whole season, and I couldn't really figure out what was about these masks that it was, and I realized I know exactly what it is. You ever get any kind of like thickish liquid on a screen, like drop a milkshake on a screen door or something like that?
Yep.
You try to wipe it off and it just sticks in all of the fucking holes.
It rubs down. You need to get like a hose or something like that, or
like you're killing and splattering zombies left and right, and you got one of these masks on. You're blind.
Yeah,
you're blind the first time it gets booged on. You're done. It's right down to that. Like, I know, hell, it took me a while to realize maybe that's what it is that's bothering me about him. But
now, a couple of great questions in the live.
Small thing to pick on, I know, but come on. You have so much to pick on. Don't give me the small things.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Those are the type of things that if it's a good episode, you almost auto forgive in your mind. You can be whatever about it and call something out, but you're still like, it's a good episode. I enjoyed it. But when you have so much wasted time in an episode that also felt rushed, to DJ's point in the live chat, the episode felt rushed, but you had time to put more in there if you just cut out some of the flashbacks. If you cut the clip show aspect.
Why could you see Rick and Michonne through their masks, but you could see no other faces through any other mask?
You could kind of see Thorne too, because
he wasn't wearing a mask.
No, Thorne. What's her name? The other.
Right, but like on the elevator, you see Rick right through his mask.
Oh yeah,
right?
In Michonne, you can see her eyes the whole time.
You see Michonne the whole time through her mask. Like none of the other people can you see in their mask face. And they're all watching the briefing in their masks in the theater, wearing their fucking face masks. Oh my
Newman
God.
adds, Rick should have died while Michonne was wasting time with Thorne. If they had somehow pulled off a good Rick Grimes death, I'd be out here saying that's good. They surprised us, because to Joe's point, they had a perfect opportunity to take out one of these characters in a really big emotional way, because I didn't think either of them were in danger. So that's when a show like this has you by the balls. When you think people are 100% safe. Spoiler alert, I guess, what made the beginning of Game of Thrones so awesome was you're like, there's no way they're killing Ned Stark right here. So something's gonna happen. Something's gonna happen to save this guy, and then they do it. Like if they had pulled off a believable Michonne or Rick death tonight, in the middle of one of those bang bang action scenes, we could have come out here and been like, not everything was perfect this season, but they really pulled off something good at the end of the season, something that was shocking. I didn't think they would do that. I didn't think they'd have the balls to do that, but instead they did. They give us a little Muppet with the Muppet babies at the end to give foreshadowing, but whatever.
Happy endings.
And Lainey, I'm with you. I love Terry. I think it's a shame that he hasn't done as much gotten
I
another
don't see
big.
much special. I've seen him do this same fucking role in everything aside from, like, in everything.
But anyways, why did Terry take this lame ass role in the first place? They wasted him. I think he was wasted.
Yeah, they did. They did absolutely waste him. He took it so he could say he was a zombie on The Walking Dead.
So he
That he
could.
sat in a chair.
So he could do his Merle zombie, like him and Merle are like the worst zombie. Like they're just like, oh.
And they purposefully don't zombie them up so that they can still look good for the camera.
Sonic has a interesting question for us. Phil and Joe, who wins a war between these CRM's troops and stormtroopers? I think they all end up killing themselves.
I don't know. What was Thorne doing? Like, she stops them at the end, right? And she tells them, go back in there and fix what you did. I'm gonna stay right here. Just go back in the tent. Go, keep going. All right, keep going. She's like, what the fuck is she doing?
I don't know. I don't think anybody knows what the hell is going on.
Right, they're gonna fix this now. Yeah.
But there was a lot of convoluted nonsense mixed in the middle of that action scene. It was just.
She did turn heel.
She did, but but again, I don't buy the reasoning for her turning heel. It's because from what we've learned about her in the beginning half, that she essentially, her and Rick are
both prisoners,
or the two A's that slipped through the system because Okafor wanted two potential leaders to be a second head of the snake
revolution.
Yeah, the revolution thing. And so they both got brought in. So theoretically, in the context of what we've learned in this scene at the beginning half of the season, what a lot of the beginning half of the season was dedicated to was thinking that Rick and Thorne had similar perspectives about this all. And they were the first A's to go through this process and hear this bullshit that Beale is speaking. And the thing that carried through this season that made one thing interesting, like a carrot to carry you through, was it seemed like Beale was going to say something really interesting. Maybe they had the cure. Maybe they were fighting for something better, or whatever.
He already knew it because and then he goes, yeah, remember what happened to Omaha? That's the echelon.
Right. And ultimately it's just bullshit. So you're telling me Thorne, somebody that thought similar to Rick in the way that this place is, whatever,
evil,
heard what Beale said and started drinking the Kool-Aid and went heel?
Yep, because she's worried about the 14. So if all we have is 14
Joe,
years
Beale
left,
is no Bobby the
let
Brain
me
Heenan.
Fuck go, asshole. I'm trying to get back to South Africa. Why would you stop me? I was in the middle of the Atlantic and you came and picked me up again. Like, I'm not coming back with the South African fucking army to invade the CRM in the United States. What the fuck?
It's stupid. Luna says, did anyone else know the painting of Gabriel in Jadis's room? We see a lot of Gabriel. Wonder if they get a spinoff too. I think he will be a big part of the reunion series that they come back in, and we will see some.
No, stop.
They're gonna bring. Of course.
This is it. It's over. There's no reunion series.
No, it's happening, Joe. It's happening.
Bullshit.
This Daryl season and the end of the Dead City season will both lead into this shit. It's happening. Reunion series.
I hope
2026. Mind you, we're gonna be back. This isn't it. We're not done.
I hope whatever profit-sharing lawsuits are left completely crush the fucking television.
Victoria says, the fastest way that they wrapped up the CRM story, I have a feeling that the Walking Dead universe doesn't have much more breadth. I'm completely sure there won't be a season 2 of this. I won't be surprised if AMC cancels Dead City or the Daryl Dixon spinoff. I think you'll see a season 2 because they were already advertising it tonight. I guess season 2 of Daryl's called Book of Carol.
So I'm not sure if I saw the whole season of the Daryl.
I know
Is it only 7 episodes?
I mean, this was only 6.
I know, but was the Daryl thing only 7? Because it felt like a weird place for it to end if it was only the 7 episodes, and if it was more than 7 episodes, and I didn't finish it, and I haven't seen them ever posted up where I've been watching.
Let me see. Daryl Dixon series. Let's see, Joe. But I know they already filmed the season 2 of the Daryl Dixon series, and season 2 has first episode 12 episodes, Joe, I think.
Season 1 was 12 episodes.
I think so. Let me see. Let me make sure. Let me see what this is. Episode list. No. Wait. 6 episods.
It was 6 or 7. I think it was.
No,
7.
it was 6 episodes because 12 episodes is there's gonna be 6 in season 2.
Okay.
So 6 and 6.
It's fucking. You know what? It's all fucking dumb. It's really dumb.
Joe, but do you know what's not dumb? Do you know what's not dumb? Is getting into our.
Fine. Didn't we already do it?
No, we did it. No, we have to go through
you
this.
said 15 minutes of content. They yada yada.
Oh, there's gonna be a lot of yada yada in this recap, Joe. So first of all, the titles for this episode did not say some secret meaning. But I mentioned this before. Better Call Saul did this with the first letter. If you took the first letter of one of the seasons, and you put it together, it was like Gus is back. This season, they decided to name each episode sort of something that goes together. It's years gone by, what we became the last time. That's our riddle answer for the whole entire series. This episode was horribly edited. It really was. Someone was really addicted to those flashback scenes, and let's get into this a little bit more. Okay, so we're gonna talk about this episode. Episode begins. More flashbacks of this long season. Like, it's a season later. We see the show bathes. Oh, sorry. This is me talking to myself here about what I want to say. This show, we get more flashbacks. At the beginning of the episode, we get flashbacks of the season that we already said after we just saw scenes from last week. We start off the whole night starts off with scenes from what happened on this season of Rick and Michonne. And then we see a couple of, clips of things that happened earlier in the season. Then the episode begins and we get more flashbacks of the season itself. Like, it's
right. Why not just put all those little flashback pieces at the when?
Oh, whatever. This season, the problem with this, Joe, isn't that they do member berries. Because The Walking Dead is old enough now, early Walking Dead stuff, to get a little bit of a member berry thing from it and enjoy some of that stuff. And that doesn't bother me. I just rewatched Captain Picard season 3. I don't mind member berries if it's done good, okay? But this show smells its own nostalgia from its own show. It's bathing in the nostalgia of episodes 1 and 2 from the Rick and Michonne show. It's showing you flashbacks like you should feel nostalgic for, remember when Rick chopped his arm off? Remember when Michonne and him finally met again in the city? Remember Okafor? Feel emotional for Okafor.
Remember Beale sat on a bench with him?
Yeah, dude, they showed the Beale on the bench. They showed every Beale moment before this episode just to try to make you remember what it was like to talk to Beale. And that's the shit. That's not even member berry stuff. That's spinning your wheels because you don't know what to do. And you have to just put stuff in, like filler shit, because you wasted too much time in this episode. So someone said it earlier about, I think it might have been Newman or somebody, about how one of the episodes, and we were talking about this, you could have cut out one of these episodes that we had and filled in with a lot more material, and this episode wouldn't have felt as rushed. Flesh out Beale a little bit more, understand him a little bit more. We're going to get into talking about the fight scenes. I'm going to ask about the Rook and Beale fight scene. It was stupidly choreographed, but we'll get it. We'll break it down a little bit more when we get to it in the recap. I hope they do a reunion season just to watch you guys get drunk on the stupidity. I mean, I got to admit, I was going to wait to say this at the end. I have not been enjoying this season, but I do enjoy talking about The Walking Dead again, because as I'm usually sort of a happy bug, like spinning around, it's good to unabashedly talk about something crappy sometimes. It feels rewarding, especially right now, why I'm being evened out by watching one of my favorite television experiences in the last few years. So it's came at the right time, Joe.
In the last half a decade, honestly.
This last episode, I don't want to talk about it yet, but this last episode, it just keeps getting better and better, Joe. Holy mother grabbing poop. We're talking about good acting from.
We'll get into that later.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that later. And then after this week, talk about it a lot more.
Yeah, let's finish this recap.
So, just like that, don't tease me with talking about that other thing. So hello Samantha, great to see Samantha in the live chat. I hope they do a reunion. I don't know, Luna. Walking Dead season 2 6.
I hope they don't, because I don't want to have to watch it, because if they do,
oh, it's happening.
yeah, listen, I'm already stuck. I'm gonna be watching the fucking Daryl Dixon trash. Fucking.
I feel like we might have to. I feel like we might have to cover that too.
You know what? It feels hollow if we're not.
I agree.
Like, I would almost say the other one as well, but here's my point: is neither one of the two characters in Dead City are original
I don't want in Jon Snow. I don't wanna watch.
They're
Dead
not
City.
original cast members, so it's a spinoff. Period.
I don't want to watch
Dead City. Look at the characters we introduced. Sure, they may be long-standing, but look at the characters we introduced.
Yeah,
they're getting their own show.
Joe, I like Carol and Daryl, and if this next season is the Book of Carol, I'm interested to see what happens.
I'm in. Yeah, I'm in because they're all original OG season one. If the season one cast is doing something, as far as I'm concerned, even if it has a tagline past The Walking Dead, those are still Walking Dead episodes. It's just they couldn't trust that people would be okay with
Joe.
This is The Walking Dead, but it's just the story of this. It's The Walking Dead, but it's just the.
I'll catch up and we'll do Daryl. Okay, so we see Rick coming to the gates, turning himself in again, all in sort of a montagey kind of way. I'm Rick Grimes, Sergeant Major. Do you think I'm dead?
I want to make something clear too for all the fucking people out there that think we're just haters. Listen, we've put a lot of time into this show.
Too much.
I'm allowed to shit on it because I have watched every fucking episode, and a lot of them multiple times. I am continuing to watch episodes, as we just said, with the Daryl spinoff and with this trash fire that fucking we just watched. So, you know what? Phil and I, we are super fans. Like, you don't watch, even what did they say about Howard Stern? The people that love it listen for 20 minutes. The people that hate it listen for 30 minutes or something. Yeah,
this is I'm sunk cost fallacied so far into The Walking Dead right now. I have to see how they kill this franchise.
I am chasing this fucking belly buster fucking
dude, we're all
to
in
the
here.
Fucking river, baby.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't care what you bet. I am fucking calling.
Are we tilted? Yes, we're tilted, but it doesn't matter, okay? Will we see Daryl at some point? JVL, yes. I do think, I've said this before, this is all leading to some sort of Voltron series, some sort of Defenders thing, where they all come together and snuff out the last remaining bad guys in the world, or something's gonna happen. Okay, so Rick is banging on a door, and he lies. He talks his shit. He talks about Jadis saving him to Thorne. They talk about giving up and what they dealt with. This episode is just a series of speeches. The speeches are tough for me to recap too much. She talks about how Okafor was wrong. He died because he was the leader. I thought he died because I got some shit straight or some other shit. Oh, we got a super chat from Luna. Thank you so much, Luna. Even Negan, the governor, and Alpha got more backstory. Even if they were the baddies, we at least somewhat understood where they were coming from. Maybe even empathized with some of them, how they became who they are. And with Beale, piss on a stick, motherfucker. All I know about him is he was on an island once dealing with Ben Linus and Jack and Sawyer. I mean, that's all. To Joe's point, he has no characterization, so he can't help but fall into his John Locke characterization a little bit for me, because that's where my brain autocorrects to him. So even if he's trying something else, which I think he was, Joe, I think so too. I don't think he falls into that Anthony Hopkins trap that you tend to say.
You're right. So here's the thing with this guy, I haven't seen.
He is usually military guys, though.
He is, but I haven't seen enough of his work, or I have, that it's either unremarkable because I've seen enough of it where I don't remember it. Like, as far as I'm concerned, this guy isn't amazing at his craft. He's not the best actor in the world.
I love him.
He does what he does. He does a good job at it. I'm not disappointed for the most part. When I see him on screen, I'm not like, oh, here's this fuck again. I'm going to have to watch, like I am for a lot of people. For fuck's sake, I was that way with like a Charlize Theron for the longest time. Like, I have no interest in seeing any of her movies. until I saw one that was pretty much panned by lots and lots of fucking people, but I think it was excellent, and that also based on a graphic novel,
Hancock.
Atomic Blonde.
Ah.
There's something about that movie, the way it's filmed, some of the action sequences. I know there's little parts that if you're watching and you're paying attention, you're like, what the fuck? Come on now. But even still, there's something about a lot of that movie that really gets me. And I've changed my mind about this woman in a lot of her roles. There's still a lot of roles that I'm like, fucking unwatchable. I can't with her.
I think it
But
started.
This guy has never done that to me. He's passable for the roles that I've seen him in. He's neither an actor I'm like, oh my god, he's fucking fantastic. Did I like him as John Locke in the first season of Lost, the only season I watched? Yes. But as far as that, I could not tell you a single thing this man has done now except The Walking Dead and Lost.
You would also remember with a couple of pokes his appearance on Star Trek Next Generation. He's on a pretty big episode.
Yes, yes. Like, you start saying shit like that, you start telling me what he's been in, and I'll remember him in those roles. It's not like I said, I know I've seen him in a lot of shit, but it's never been like, he's not a draw for me. I'm not like, okay, great, he's in this. I'm gonna watch this now. Which is what got me into the theater for Birdman, right? Michael Keaton was in it. Michael Keaton back in the theater after how long? Haven't seen this guy. I'm in for this. I wanted to walk out twice, right? Like, he doesn't make me want to do that. That's the only time Michael Keaton's ever made me want to walk out of the theater, but like...
Anyways,
yeah.
I don't. Anyways,
I digress.
You digress. You're like finish the recap. Let's talk about Birdman. You're not haters. Trust the staff would rather you hate on it than be apathetic. I watch because of your streams. I only seen John Locke and Lost and cop shows that aired in one season. You got to see Theron in Between the Ferns. She's funny as shit. She's also she is hilarious. I love her comedy takes when she pops up and stuff. She was also really great on the Orville when she popped up on the Orville not too long ago. Anyways, so
there's a lot of stuff since Atomic Blonde. There's a lot of stuff.
Let's continue with this. Let's continue with this Walking Dead recap. So Okafor was wrong. He died because he was the leader. She tells him, "You need to be all in, Rick." We go to Michonne, who's just ninjaing around. Best soldiers in the world left, and no one sees her. She gets inside Jadis's place real easy. She's a lock picking expert now too. Does it in a second. Because it's so easy to just pick a lock like that. She heads in Jadis's room. We see lots of paintings of Father Gabriel, other things too. And then we keep flashing back between these two scenes. Beale wants to talk to Rick. Thorne says, Beale's over there, hanging out just all alone, stabbing zombies. He doesn't have any backup or anything like that. He's just standing there.
He's putting in his 6 years.
He's putting in his 6 years. Because Beale says, I never had to put my 6 years. I don't want to be a citizen. But I'm a man of the people.
Well, why should I become a citizen when I can become king?
Yep. 100%. And
that's what he basically told Rick. He tells him right to start, I never had to do this stupid shit that you had to do because I didn't we were breaking you.
Joe, this is where you're giving the show more characterization than they gave him. That would have been a great subtle narcissistic tone to him throughout the whole season, but instead none of that was clear because we talked to him twice before tonight. You know, like if we'd actually seen him throughout the season instead of some of our stupid dream sequences we had, make him and Thorne three-dimensional characters and actually show scenes of when Rick is away dealing with this whole Michonne thing away the whole time, show Thorne connecting with her. Making her feel, slowly but surely brainwashing her with his making her heel turn more menacing and more real. Instead, Beale is no Bobby the Brain Heenan that can talk Andre the Giant into attacking Hulk Hogan.
Right from the start with even Thorne, right from the start with Thorne, she's just like you, Rick. Only she's not. We're told over and over again that Rick's better. Rick beats her in poker.
Rick's the best.
Rick tricks her about Michonne. Rick,
Don't worry.
Rick has tried to escape more times than her. Rick even went so far as to cut his own arm off to get away. Rick, at every turn, Rick is a step better than her.
You're like Jan.
They don't even do well enough making her that she's going to be like one of the two big showdowns or possible. There was none of us that didn't. It's the moment Okafor died, from the very next scene that we see Thorne fucking open her mouth, it's pretty evident that she has decided, fuck Okafor. Okafor was the one that made me stay here all this time, and Beale has now made me part of things, where instead of just under the thumb of this other guy 5 ranks down from the top.
Joe, do you know what
honestly,
else was?
That's what.
It's stupid. And there was another part that another one of her lines just showed how stupid she was. She said something along the lines of, "That's why Okafor died." No, he died because some random guy dude shot a missile on a one timer. No, he died because he gave up.
I caught that too.
No, he didn't die because of that. He died because he caught a missile. Like what the hell? What, that killed him? Your lack of belief killed you. No, it didn't. What are you talking about?
Right? That was
my God. Yeah. It was so
she
stupid.
She was completely broken by the end. Like, from the moment she turns the corner,
they made her so stupid.
Like, yeah, they did. They honestly did, and they didn't write her at all to be. Listen, she's part of Okafor's, we're going to destroy the big plan echelon and all this shit, right? And if she decided that she was on Team Beale instead of Team Okafor, why on earth would she think she could talk Rick into staying and working for the people after all this time that even fucking Okafor couldn't do without finally telling him we're going to take them all down? That she could do it instead.
Because love always wins, Joe.
And she loves Rick?
I guess.
Is that why like what? None of it made any sense.
Or she thought they had a bond.
If she was over, their bond was over bringing down the CRP, right? Not on turning heel on the person that was going to help them do that, because the CRP was ultimately responsible for them staying and not being able to go home, not Okafor. So Okafor was going to help them too, and they were going to help Okafor bring down the big bads, and then maybe they could go home and have a good life and all this shit. But until then, they had to do what Okafor needed them to do. So that was their bond, and she listens to Beale for a second, and then she's like, yeah, but, Rick will change his mind. That's the only thing keeping him around, is the fact that he might get revenge on the people that have kept him there for so long. But instead of being like immediately like, oh, Beale, I'm on your side. You were right. But here, let me tell you, Okafor had a plot against you. This motherfucker Rick involved. Don't want to keep him around. You should probably put a bullet in his head right now, because that motherfucker gonna try to kill all of us.
Especially when he keeps disappearing and coming back. It just doesn't make any sense. So Michonne inside picking locks. Beale wants to talk to Rick. Beale is clearing, and he says he's never had to do this before. He'd never want to be a citizen. We get some pretty BS about the walkers. The scientist never figured it out. We get the sword is the one that gives life. Some friggin' more flowery dialogue. We learn a bit more about Beale. He wants time to shut everything out and be a soldier. He tells Rick he is going to share some secrets, and he's going to have Rick carry the load.
And Turtle Turt is 100% right in the chat over there.
The characters are stupid. The writers are stupid. I'm super ticked off at Gimple and everyone involved in the writing.
Because the writers are stupid.
And again, it betrays, I think, the production team and the actors. We're being harder on them because ultimately this all comes down to poor writing and story structure. And I would argue that not in every episode the dialogue and the writing stuff was horrible. I know Joe would say everything this season was horrible. But I think unarguably, like, the story sketching out, like in the room, the planning stage, the stuff that's Gimple, the what we're going to do this season from beginning to end, our starting point, our end point, what the story is horrible, is stupid.
He's actually pretty smart, because what he did was he hired the worst writers in the fucking world.
He's creating Hanna-Barbera cartoons, Joe.
It's you know what? I don't know.
They're Hanna-Barbera cartoons. They're
I just
like
needed
space.
to say Turtle, you were right. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. I shouldn't.
Oh no, you're fine. You're fine.
No, I shouldn't be slowing you down.
Get through this, damn it. So, but I said this would be good character stuff for Beale, this is information that would have been better yesterday. It's just stuff that just would have been better learning about his character earlier in the season, not in the final episode that he ends up dying in the end. I mean, if this was an introduction and somehow Beale gets away, I would have got away from would have got away with this if it wasn't for that Michonne and Rick. And then he kind of leads out to be a villain down the road, like a bigger villain down the road, and we sketched out a little bit more character in this episode, but ultimately Thorne is our big bad in this episode. That fight with Thorne is our only sort of final battle moment. But instead, Beale becomes the most useless character in the world. He's just freaking useless. He's as useless as Snoke in the Star Wars Disney trilogy. It's just like a useless character that's in there to just die for no reason.
So stupid. That just sounds so stupid.
Snoke?
Star Wars Disney
trilogy. Yeah, I don't know what else to call it.
It's still just
the JJ trilogy.
No, that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. It's no matter what. It's Star Wars Disney, and like Star Wars just should never.
I don't want to get. At least.
Oh my god! What am I doing?
We will be talking about it, Sonic. So Michonne is looking around, and we get a decent show with the music getting eerie and the tension building up.
How many people can say Disney killed my childhood?
Finally, usually it's the other way around. Finally, she finds a model of a cat and finds something up the cat's ass. Isn't this a perfect example of the show? But Michonne finds the Jadis stuff pretty easily, and she rips it up and leaves the pieces on the floor, but then takes a minute and she picks up the pieces and heads out. And right conveniently, as she's about to leave the door, someone slides something onto the door.
TV trope.
And it blocks the door. Hey, are you in there? And then they come in.
And then they just come in because, that's what you do.
Right.
And someone else's house, an apartment, is when they don't answer, you just go right in.
You go right in. And then Michonne easily hides behind the door and comes after her. And then the person like pauses there was a moment in bad choreographed action there for a second where there's a pregnant pause where the person walking in who conveniently is someone smaller than Michonne. It wasn't one of the other guards. It just happens to be somebody that's like a little,
wasn't the one that Rick had to kill.
Right, the giant dude. It's like a smaller in stature person than Michonne. And Michonne overpowers them and kills them and stuff like that. So, and then takes her uniform. So Beale tells Rick to put the gun and his blade down on the table. Beale is looking at us in this scene, breaking the fourth wall. They decide, we paid for this guy, so let's let him do a monologue to the camera. And he teaches him about this. He does this guided meditation thing. Rick, calm down and listen to me. I was on a show called Lost once, and I'm going to tell you a story. Now, what's the worst thing you ever did? And then we start our clip show where we get Rick.
Good man, but biting her.
But he didn't just flash to that, Joe. He flashed to several bad things that he did throughout the years.
Jane to killing
Gareth.
Oh, yeah.
We saw everybody.
None of them were bad things. None of them were things that were like, oh my God, the things I've had to do to survive. Like,
no, in fairness,
that's what they were. They were things I had to do to survive. But like, were they bad things?
In fairness, no. What Beale asked him was, what's something that you had to do that was bad to protect somebody you care about?
Did you ever have to kill one person to save another person? Yeah. Fuck yeah, I have.
Several times. And Rick says he killed someone with his teeth like they do. And Beale says, I've given this speech about 2,000 times, but this is the first time I've given it to someone like you. So I guess
the difference is, yes, I have, Beale, killed people to protect people, but the difference was they were actively seeking to harm the people I was killing them to protect.
Usually it was a last resort.
Therefore, it wasn't like, oh, there's just people over there. Let me go kill them, take all their shit, because that'll help us survive. There's a big difference in those two things.
Now, some more amazing comments. I absolutely loved it. Obviously, there is going to be those people that hate this, and that's fine, but I absolutely loved it. But it could have been a bit longer, but one of the best episodes in The Walking Dead history.
Who am I laughing
And then
at
somebody
right
said they're already...
Who am I laughing at right now? Is that one of like some clip somewhere else? Is that
No,
someone in our chat?
no one in our chat. These are comments I read on the Walking Dead like Facebook page thing, and like people that love this episode.
Fucking moron. Yeah, it could have been longer. It could have been a lot longer. It could have been longer because they put shit in the previous episodes that should have been there instead of the shit they did put in.
Do you know what I'm doing?
Like a montage of Jada's haircuts.
Joe,
like like useless fucking dream sequences in episode 1. Let's start out
with the pizza,
giving the most useless
Joe, do you
fucking
like pizza?
Shit to our audience that means absolutely nothing to the show, to the plot, to anything. But you know,
do you like pizza, Joe?
I used to.
Oh.
I do, and and it sucks that they shoved the hot pocket down my throat instead.
We should do that. Okay, so Beale grabs a fencing sword, and this is the day about tomorrow. We flash to Rick and Michonne in bed, and he's telling oh how much I missed you, and some crazy more. Just they keep flashing back and forth between the stuff. Beale again telling his life story. He was a bar back at a VFW, and he found his family there, and he went to Vietnam, went there twice, went to the National Guard afterwards, and he became a commander. Fortunately, he tells a story about again, stuff that would have been nice to see this season instead of just hearing stuff if you want to do flashbacks.
How old is this actor?
Probably.
Look, we need to know. I want to know this right now. How old is this actor?
Let me see. Terry O'Quinn. Is that his name? Yeah, Terry O'Quinn, actor. Terry O'Quinn age. Thank you, the Google. Terry, 71.
He looks good for a 71-year-old. I'll give him that. And okay, then he's old enough to have been in Vietnam.
Okay. You're like, he looks pretty damn good then. See, doesn't give you hope, Joe. His
like the very tail end of it, but like, yeah.
No, he's young enough. I mean, he's old enough. I mean, okay. So he tells a story. We see and then we flash over to Michonne. We see a stuffed animal from earlier in the season. Michonne heads and picks it up, and we get more flashbacks. And this is where I said it's feeling like a clip show again. Rick and Beale talk about what the feds did early, clearing vectors. And Beale talks about how, okay, this is what he did. His bad thing. He screwed over the city of Pittsburgh to save Philadelphia. He ended up, he was supposed to be defending or something. Well, did you get all this?
So yeah, so this is what it was. They decided that there was a horde coming, and they weren't going to be able to defend both cities. So he basically bombed Pittsburgh, luring the horde there, thus killing everybody in Pittsburgh and driving them away from Philly.
Driving away from Philly.
Now, what did they all hail Okafor for? Okafor killed a bunch of soldiers who were going to go in and basically kill everybody in Philly to do the same thing that they ended up doing to Pittsburgh. So Philly and Pittsburgh were basically about to kill each other anyway. No? Or he ordered Okafor to go kill his
I think he ordered
wife.
Okafor to do all that.
And Okafor did it and then was like, why did I do that? That was wrong.
Yeah, that he had an attack of conscience later on.
It all just was really fucking...
It was really poorly plotted out and didn't make a lot of sense. But this was his Father Gabriel moment.
Like with all the talk about the echelon briefing, did you ever think that's not what it was?
I mean,
did you ever think it was something else? Like
the way they were hyping it up, Joe, I thought it was some important information that somehow he knew. Maybe he was fighting for a cure. You know, it was going to be something that would actually convince a reasonable person that they tried to tell me Thorne was. So I should have listened to Santovia, who was like, no, Thorne was just like another Tara. But yeah, but but like I was like, no, she seems like a smart character. But no, they made her stupid. Joe, we have another super chat donation from the amazing Tracy G. This was a bad last episode for Rick. I never would understand why they never adapted Walking Dead Telltale story. That would be if we've talked about that a lot of or I've talked about it a lot, like
That's a good story.
an anthology series of some sort, where you did maybe had something like this Rick and Michonne thing could have been three
I know.
three
I don't have,
20-minute stuff. I would love.
I don't have any faith in them at this point with any of the writers that are left in that writing room, with any of the fucking producers that are left in that fucking building that are running this show. I do not have any faith in them to readapt the Walking Dead Telltale series, even if they did it fucking shot for shot, word for word, scene for scene, choice for choice, whatever it was, of whatever the most. There's no way they do it right. There's no way they don't fuck it up. There's no way they don't go, oh, well, the people who played this game already know what's about to happen, even though it's multiple fucking choice and different things could have fucking happened. They're going to be like, oh, no, we got to make up a fourth or a fifth option to give to our audience. It's going to be some stupid fucking trope that has the audience has already seen a million times, A, on The Walking Dead, and B, on the rest of the fucking television universe.
I want to see them do it just to piss you off, because I know it'd be hilarious. I know how much you hate it.
Oh, man, that's not nice, Phil.
Okay, so the whole city...
I wish only but the best for you.
You come on. I had to stomach 2 seasons of bad Captain Picard to get to season 3. So
I disagree with bad Picard.
There
was no bad Picard.
Shit happened. Season 2 is bad.
It was only less good.
Season 2 is pretty bad. Season 1, whatever.
There was no bad Picard. There was only less good Picard.
Season 3 though made me cry all over again this weekend.
Well, that was just Next Generation.
Yeah, it was the best Next Generation movie that we never got.
That was like the Next Generation, the greatest generation.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, and it had some Voyager mixed in too. We had a couple of Voyager characters. Deep Space Nine's the only one that got the shaft, but even that, the villain was the Changelings. Okay, one of the villains was the Changelings, and we got an Odo shout out at one point in time. Anyways, so he tells he tells him the secret. But again, the Echelon thing is, the secret is we're gonna go kill Omaha, and then we're gonna essentially get martial law so I can take over the city that has a council and a vote system, and I'm going to become king and emperor here, and then the CRM is going to be the one power, and then we're going to go over and kill all these small communities, like people like the Alexandria community and all those people, and just ultimately be the last surviving humans to give us a fighting chance. But Rick, if you join me, anyone you care about will be spared. Like you like those Alexandria people, I won't kill them. They can join. That's what you
Whoever
get.
It was you kept running back to.
Exactly. Whoever those people are, they're okay. We can keep them. So Beale says there's really only 14 years left. Says all this crap out there. There's so much nasty shit. Rick, we're all gonna be dead. And blah 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 blah. We get more flashbacks of older Walking Dead things. We see Michonne watching films and having more flashbacks of old Walking Dead things. We get Beale giving more of a speech about how they're gonna gas cities, kill people, and CRM's gonna get their hands in everything. And then we send test subjects, and then we flash over to like the Daryl series for a second and see some of the test subjects. Final action, Destiny, Portland. Oh yeah, wait. He says he converted Thorn, and Jadis was all in. We get more Michonne. Flashes over to Michonne again too. It just keeps bouncing back and forth and back and forth. Beale talks about how to take over the world after Portland, and we get more flashback clips. Again, do you see a pattern here? Do you see a pattern here? Speech, monologue, flashback clip. Speech, monologue, flashback clip.
We've been talking about the pattern for years of bad writing.
But this is really bad, Joe. Like as much as we get nitpicky and stuff, this whole episode is just monologue, flashback, monologue, clip show, back and forth. So Beale and then fight scenes, and then 2 fight scenes, and then a cheesy ending. So Beale
it's like finally Rick becomes a Rick again and like just murders him in that room.
We do get that in the stuff. The Spock episode of Strange New Worlds is one of the funniest and best episodes of Star Trek series ever. I have to get on Strange New Worlds. I've heard nothing but good things. I do love Lower Decks and Picard season 3 and the the Strange New Worlds episodes of Discovery are some of my favorite episodes of Discovery. So I'm definitely going to give Strange New Worlds a shot at some point in time. I've just been doing my Star Trek rewatch, and I'm in the Next Generation Deep Space Nine stuff right now. And then I'll get to Voyager Enterprise, and then I'll make my way to the new series. There was no big boss. There was a bunch of people I didn't like, but there were no need to have any emotional connections because there was no main villain. We now have shows like Silo, Severance, Shogun, Walking Dead spinoffs step up their game because now there's more choices for people to spend their time on. But when you have people that are like commenting on this stuff and saying things like, I'm sorry to keep picking up these pictures, just finished it, was... Now we have to wait. Now we have to watch these 6 episodes again because this was so good. Me, ugly crying for the whole last 10 minutes of this episode. It was so good. It was so fantastic. Yes, I shed tears. At this point, they better have a season 2. Oh my goodness. Okay, so Beale talks about how to take over the world. Michonne is watching the film about how to handle the kids in all these cities, and they don't kill the kids. They kidnap all the kids. That's good. So because they can just kill all the people. At least they're pretty good because they're keeping the kids alive. Okay, so Michonne's watching more of this, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so Beale is like, even though you escaped and acted like an asshole.
So, you know, it's preposterous, right? The idea of they're going to evacuate all the kids and then gas is bullshit. This is what they're doing so that they can get people on board. Because if you're telling them that we're also going to kill all their families and all the kids and all the children, you're going to lose a lot of soldiers.
Yeah, some will go out. They almost need.
So the soldiers that are going in to rescue these kids, they're all dead. They're all as good as dead as far as I was concerned. Like, I'd be sitting there watching that going, there's no way they murder 100,000 people over in fucking Portland and decide that the kids and me aren't okay not to murder.
And Luna, I don't know if those are bots. They very well could be bots and paid comments to make.
Because when I come back and I tell everybody how we murdered everybody in fucking Portland, it's a liability. So killing all the frontline people with that gas is exactly what you want to do as Thorn.
Yep. And so we go back to Beale.
Or as
Beale. Beale says to Rick, even though you escaped, you acted like an asshole. And you constantly are giving me the Rick Grimes eyes, like you want to kill me right now.
Right now. Still, to the moment.
You could be a leader one day of the CRM, and because you're almost dead and you came back. So Rick, at this point, completely pulls out his knife under the table, and Beale doesn't think about anything. He asks, "Who's the closest person that died?" And Rick says, "Carl." And I did not save him in the end, but all right, he's who I teared out the dude's throat. Beale says, you're never going to have to face that loss. Family, friends, they'll be taken care of. Michonne comes out of the briefing like, fuck, and I mentioned this earlier. This is probably my favorite moment of the episode, just seeing her eyes. I thought it was a well-portrayed acting moment. When she got something good to do, she pulled it off. So CRM is going to take over the Civil Republic in Portland. They're going to bring back, he brings back the sword, and he goes to hand Rick the sword. He basically says, kiss the ring. He's like, swear on the sword that you believe in me, or whatever. And then we get a flashback of Beale and Okafor talking about the sword. We get more of a clip show as the music amps up. And then we get a weird transition where Rick stands up and grabs the knife, and Beale just kind of pauses for a second and goes, no, stop! And just stands there while Rick free shots him with the knife. And then we cut to black, and then we come back, and Beale is standing up with his sword, like, dude, why did you leave and come back? I thought you were dead. Why the hell did you just come back here even? And they fight. Rick ends up knocking the sword out of his hand because when Rick jumps over the table, Joe, he has so much dexterity rating that he grabs his hand on the table as he's flying over the table and slips it on just in time for Beale to grab his sword and come at him in a really stupid way and let Rick just stop it with the metal hand. It was such perfect timing. It was great. It was like this time though I watched Prince play a bass guitar solo, and then he throws the bass across the stage, and it lands up on the guitar stand. It's shit like that can happen, Joe. So they fight. What did you think of the fight scene between Rick?
Stupid.
Stupid. That's your answer from
It was
Joe.
about time Rick does a Rick thing, and aside from that, it was stupid.
Yeah, and again, I would say,
And everything, honestly, everything from this point on is absolute stupidity and dog trash. For
it
every fucking moment of it, you like
any
every
dramatic
scene
moment.
has lots of fucking awful, like awful problems to them.
Yeah, this is where
Just stupidness, a left and right abound.
yeah, this is when a lot of convenience steps into play. So Beale is standing up and Rick stabs him in the hand and Beale doesn't scream or anything. He just calmly is like, huh? And then he gives a speech and stabs him and says, "We're not dead, and you're dead." Ugh. And okay, so then Rick calls Thorne and he says he got the briefing and Beale went out to the woods to give Rick an assessment earlier and he'll talk to her later. He finds a roller case of some sort to go put Beale's body in. He goes in the elevator, and then we get a really stupid elevator scene where this security guy is slowly but surely notices the convenient blood dripping on the ground.
Just so
And
we can have some more action. Trope number 10.
and then we have trope number 11 where the main character fights a bigger, tougher character and somehow ends up winning in the end. The Indiana Jones fight where he kicks a bunch of people's ass and then he's against the much bigger guy. And we're at the Bruce Willis and Die Hard moment, and Rick ends up getting the best of him. And Michonne conveniently stumbles upon a bunch of grenades and realizes the plan. And we go back to the elevator, and Rick is looking at the blood, and blah, 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 blah. So he kills him, and Michonne is waiting there at the end of the elevator, and she says, wait, it's me. And she learned about everything and the Echelon plan, and they have some dark humor moment where she goes, what's in the box? What's in the box? And
Is this your box?
is this your box? And
Yes, because you saw me fighting in a hallway, and the elevator you got on and rode back up here had a box on it. So yeah, that must be my box.
Joe, I'm already not 100%, and this episode is killing me. So Thorne is like, what are you up to? So Michonne and Rick set up a bomb. They're gonna like blow everybody up. They joke about Rick leading, about how Beale said Rick could lead one day, and Michonne's like, you could do it yourself. And they can't leave yet because they can do this. They can do this, so they need to stop them. And oh god.
Because we're the ones that live.
Yeah, we're the ones that live. So Thorne comes in for Beale, and she sees Rick's hand and glove and all that sort of stuff. And Rick is got.
Why did he leave the glove? Why did he leave the attachable weapon that can beat through one of these helmets and skulls and faces, and block swords and knives? Why did he leave this thing behind in any shape, way? Why wouldn't he, you can always throw it out when you get home, but you don't think that you might need the,
Yeah, no, I think it's super. He just left.
What?
He left a bunch of fucking breadcrumbs for the whole situation. Joe, I might need to run outside for a second because a dog has a little liquid poop going on, so you might need to take over for a minute here.
Oh, just let him do
it. Can't do that. I'm not cleaning up that. So Thorne comes for Beale and sees the Rick's glove on there, and so we go off to Rick and Michonne, and Thorne saying, okay, so this sets up Beale as a walker. They set a plan where they're having Beale walk and sort of set off.
And this is dumb. They
talk about this, Joe.
They managed to stuff both dead bodies, Beale's and the dead soldiers, into the case. They managed to take that case and the cases of grenades to the tent directly behind, where hundreds of elite soldiers have massed for the final briefing that that Beale is supposed to deliver himself. Thorne is not there because she's out hunting for Rick. But they have enough time and enough stealth ability to get all these cases into the main missile tent, set up the grenades with tripwire, carefully get the two zombies out of the other case, tie them to the wire that's tied to all the grenades that are then fashioned to all the fucking gas bombs, and then lead them out opposite ends of the tent. At which point, at some point during this, they're like, "This is the last time we'll ever be apart." And I'm like, "Why are they going to be apart at all for like this next?" And then I guess what he was talking about was that fact that he had to run around to the other side of the tent after leading one of the zombies out to where all the soldiers were sitting, and nobody saw him lead the zombie out. Nobody saw the zombie. Nobody fucking started shooting at the zombie. He gets all the way around back to the other side of the tent to where they are like, "All right, we did it." And they like basically high five, right? And as they're walking down this, like, I don't know, best I could describe it as alleyway of shipping containers that are stacked. Thorn comes around the corner, pretty much knows she was about to see them there for some reason. I don't know how. Maybe she's got Call of Duty wall hack going on so she can see through walls, so she knew Rick and Michonne were right there. She draws down on them immediately before she could. I don't know how she could know it was them, like, unless she zeroed right in on Michonne's little like sword sticking up and Rick's missing hand.
Yep.
And immediately knows it's them, to where she's got to tell them that they have to go back in the she doesn't move at all. She doesn't walk with them. She just basically orders them to go back in the tent behind those flaps where I can't see you anymore, and fix this. It's I don't understand. Why didn't she just shoot them both? Why didn't she just open fire on both of them right there?
It's so ridiculous.
She knows love, because now she's just jealous that if she does it, she knows she's just jealous that she didn't make it back to her place. I don't know. It's just dumb, man.
And
I walked them through step by step everything that happened in that tent, the grenades, everything, up until they're outside waiting for being told to go back in.
Yeah, so we get the Beale zombie thing, where I mentioned this before. They didn't do a lot of good makeup on John Locke. He just basically looked like him. And
with a little bit extra rouge and powder.
Right. Thorn and Rick fight. She drank the Kool-Aid, but the walkers are messing it up. We get some interesting visuals, and here comes Michonne with the sword, and she's like, "Where's Rick?" And she says, "Turn around," and Rick is getting overwhelmed. Thorn is like, it's all dead, and Michonne says, "Love does not die," and she stabs her. Love does not die. As around that same time, Rick explodes a grenade as he's being surrounded with walkers. Like, it looks like he's in a Glenn dumpster kind of moment where they're all after him and they kind of tackle him. But somehow he throws a grenade into the pile of walkers in front of him, so he's not taking the full brunt of the.
He's stuck in one of the corners on shipment with a bunch of zombies coming in on him.
But he survives a very close grenade blast. But
because he's got plot armor again. Like,
yeah.
At no point do you think that any of this is not. At no point are you worried for your characters.
It's stupid.
If you were, I don't know why.
Yeah. So Thorn is alive, I guess, and she tells Rick to go for it, kid. Or she gets her last moment, sort of whisper kind of shit. And Rick and Michonne at the end of all of this end up at the top of a truck pallet. And instead of seeing any fallout from this, we get a info radio dump talking about the CRM being bad, and the CRC is taking over and closing down the CRM, and they're opening up their gates. No more 6-year thing. They're just going to let people in, and you can have fun, and everyone's friends, and it's shiny, happy people, and the new republic is happy. Shiny, happy people holding hands. It's just everything's happy here as we quickly flash over to Rick and Michonne heading home. And we get the reunion with the kids. Oh my God, what a happy ending. They both run, and I mentioned this earlier, they both run to Michonne, not even making eye contact with Rick. And they both, they don't even see him, and they both hug Michonne. And then Judith, I swear, does this. She's like, hi. And then she goes and hugs Rick. And it's whatever. I get Herschel, or I get except CJ being a little RJ, being a little apprehensive. He hasn't met Rick yet, but Judith is just like, if in that situation, if Judith has not seen Rick in that long, no offense to Mom in that situation, I would figure Judith would run the fuck over to Rick first and be overwhelmed that she sees her father again. Whereas RJ, I get being a little apprehensive, but no, she's just like, hey, whatever, dude. Hey, not Shane. Like it was just like like it was stupid. And so she finally reluctantly goes over to Rick and she says, I knew it, Daddy. I knew you'd come back. And he thought I thought I was alone, but I realized I was not. And you got him back. And then she turns to Michonne, you got him back. Oh my God. And finally, RJ's like, I'll come over to you too. And we get, Joe, we need to act out some of the worst dialogue in the history of television.
No, I'm
Joe. I have to do it myself then.
We're too close to the good shit.
Are you the brave man? No. Yes. I mean, will you call me Dad? Can you call me Dad? Oh, I can do that. I always knew you'd come back, Daddy. How'd you know that? Because I believed. And I'm not making that up. I might be paraphrasing a little bit, but that is ultimately the dialogue of that particular scene. And holy mother grabbing shit, Joe. I can tell by your body language, you're done with this already, but that's the end of our episode. Wow. I know I yada-yada'd a lot of that, but
no, you didn't.
I had to.
That was crap, dude. That was some major CRP.
And I just thought that was a really, really horrible episode of The Walking Dead. We've now dealt with a couple of finales in like the main finale series, and season finale after season finale. I think one thing The Walking Dead just doesn't do well is end things. They don't know how. Like I think even if you want to argue with you and me to a certain extent that
one of the things they don't do well.
That's one of the things. But I think generally speaking, they can do like a filler episodes pretty well. They can kind of move the story along, have action set pieces that work. But like a story point from beginning to end is just trash for them. They always bumble the ball, and this is another example of it. This is just even if you were someone that's feeling this season, I can't imagine. Unless you're some of these bots that I was reading, I can't imagine you being satisfied 100% with this ending.
Not even a little bit.
It just feels rushed. It feels the dialogue at the end here with RJ and Judith. I'm glad they gave us this and didn't have us make us wait because for season 2 or something.
If you think Michonne and Rick are coming back for any more of this dog shit, you are sadly mistaken.
I mean, I think they're coming back for the Voltron series, Joe.
I don't. I think they're out. I think they, as far as they're concerned, fulfilled their obligation to come back like they said they would, because they said, just give me some time off. And now they're out of their fucking contracts. They're done.
I could see Andrew Lincoln coming back, but I don't know about Dania. She has too many other things going on. Like she can actually be in other things. I mean, in fairness to Andrew Lincoln, or in fairness to The Walking Dead, I mean, I personally haven't seen Andrew Lincoln in a lot of stuff since he left, where Michonne's been in a ton of shit. I've seen her in a bunch of things. So if it's between doing theater for him and doing this, I'm sure he'll be back. He's not going anywhere. We might see Michonne might be conveniently on a mission somewhere or something, or die quickly. And then in the Walking Dead Voltron series as an emotional driving point to create a bad guy, Michonne would be a good death to point. I mean, again, that might have been more interesting. Before we finish off here, I have a couple of questions on how could they have done. I know you're not a writer, Joe, but how could they have? How do you think? And I'm going to answer the question too. How they have ended this in a good way? Have Beale escape somehow, but kill Thorne,
that's awful.
And have one of them kill Michonne?
No, that's all. They don't end this in a good way. You know how they end this in a good way? By not bringing it back in the first place. You know how they end this in a good way? By having Glenn die under that fucking dumpster.
You're still bitter about the dumpster.
In a good way? They don't cliffhang fucking the 2 deaths that Negan delivers. They kill someone before the season ends. So you can, like, how do they make this better? It's too fucking late.
It's
Like,
it's
how do
not
they make
Joe.
this better? They allow Michonne and Rick, the actors that play them, Dania and Lincoln, to just fucking
Retire.
go. Be done with them. Let them live their fucking lives. Let them forget
Oh,
they were ever part of you in the first place.
he is coming back. Let's end our poll here and see what our numbers ended up here. We got 51 votes for that. Thank you everybody that voted in our poll tonight. Andy didn't get his 3 movies from AMC. He'll be back.
No, but he got his 6 hours. He still got his six
It's true.
hours in this
That
series.
that might
So
count.
he's still, you could argue that these were 3 movies back to back to back.
Yeah. Lainey says, I'm a big Rick Michonne shipper, but this series was a waste of effing time. That's what we got gimpled. I love how gimpled has become a descriptive term of it's like Munson from what it was, what's the name of that movie? Kingpin. It's like when you get Munson somewhere. My question for the poll tonight was, what was the best post Walking Dead season, or was the best show I meant? Rick and Michonne. 47% of people said Rick and Michonne. 31% of people said best LOL all crap. 15% said Daryl Dixon, and 5% said Dead City. Joe, I know this is trash for you, but can you think about it in a 3-dimensional way? Did you enjoy this more than you enjoyed what you watched of Daryl?
No, I'm in the 31%.
You're in the 31%. You voted best LOL all crap.
Yep.
I haven't watched Daryl or Dead City yet, so for me, I guess this is the vote for the best one so far. I liked it. I like it better than the last couple of seasons of The Walking Dead.
There's no way I'm watching Dead City, because as much as I might like Jeffrey Dean, I think
you can
Maggie is a horrible actress.
You can watch him on The Boys this year. He joined The Boys, all is well in the world. So
like as much as I may have liked her in her opening, in her debut with The Walking Dead, and what she did there, with Glenn and her early in their relationship and on the farm and stuff like that, what I might have liked about her and her character coming to her own, I thought the actress did well with. But at a certain point, it all really starts falling flat in the things I've seen her in since her other show, and then coming back to this, and then rewatching some of her older work. Like, I think Green. Oh no,
that's her character, Maggie Green. Lauren Cohan, is that her name? Maybe?
I think she's a horrible actress. I do not think she is I feel awful saying this about someone that's getting paid well to do a job,
and someone that that's hard, and I would say,
I find very bad.
And I would say someone that wasn't even in this episode tonight, but she was in the flashback scenes. Dead City and Daryl Dixon show is brain rot, says Turtle. Sonic says, I'm glad they didn't do the movies. I preferred the series. And yeah, both actors from Welcome Life After the Walking Dead. Sonic, but it's still a poor substitute. I think COVID killed the 3 movies. I'm a big Michonne shipper. We talked about that Masterpiece Theater. Joe's going to whip some ass if Phil doesn't done this soon. RJ didn't grow too much. I do have to admit the aging of Judith was a bit of a shocker. Jadis got bit in the neck. The announcement was the lamest plot point of the episode. Super cheesy. Yep. Yeah, the announcement. Yeah, when they went into having it was just the voiceover of everything that happened in this. It was just in another moment where you had a chance to expand on the episode if you had given the series more time, and you wasted time in the wrong spot, so you ran out of time at the end with only 6 episodes. So yeah, The Boys is coming back soon with Jeffrey D. Morgan. I think it's gonna be fun to see him on that particular show. We got Tracy G with the super chat. Thank you so much, Tracy G. She says, we definitely got gimpled. The same thing happened to the Arrowverse. They got rid of the episode because he was in the writer's room calling the writers out, and once Andrew left, the Arrowverse was over. And it's interesting that you mentioned the Arrowverse, because that's what I think they're gonna be doing something similar with these Walking Dead series, where they're gonna do the crossover series where they all come together. And I don't know if they're gonna do it in a way where we get like one episode in every series, but I do think we're gonna get a 6-episode arc that brings everyone back together, and that is our hopeful final conclusion to this era of The Walking Dead. Then they'll keep it alive through stupid shit as long as AMC can get money out of it in some fucking way. But I do think they will bring the band back together, so to speak, to do, if they can get the scheduling right of it, to do one final crossover season. So I guess this is it, Joe. I don't think this is going to be the last time we talk about The Walking Dead, so I don't want to do a big, emotional thing here at the end to talk about The Walking Dead.
It won't be.
We will be back to talk about the Daryl series when that comes back, the Daryl and Carol series, and the other brother Carol, and we will be back to talk about anything else that involves Andrew Lincoln that comes back for The Walking Dead. I think I can confidently say, crap or not, if Andrew Lincoln Walking Dead stuff comes out, Joe and I are doing an after show, and I think Daryl Dixon stuff comes back. I didn't have AMC Plus when it was going on, and I was going through stuff stress. Thank you to Gotti, the producer. I do have AMC Plus right now, so I can watch series. So as long as every one of these apps doesn't do what Netflix does soon and make it so you can't log into people's apps. But pending that, Joe and I will be talking about the Daryl series when that comes back in a couple months. I think they announced the premiere date tonight, but I don't fucking know. But we will be talking about that. Joe and I will also be talking about another show in a few minutes here. But we'll be talking. I think we'll be on not this coming Sunday, but the last 2 Sundays for Shogun. I might be away. I still don't know if I'm going away yet, but next week I might be on to do a quick phone stream about the final episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm. And Joe and I will find an opportunity to get together and talk about the recent episodes of Shogun. But we got another super chat donation before we move on to what Joe changed his screen to. Joe and Phil, different genres become popular over the years. Do you think the apocalyptic genre has run its course? No, I think The Walking Dead just sucks at making it.
Yep.
I think there's still an audience for that kind of show or that kind of movie. I don't think it's burned out in the way that 90s sort of burned out the mafia, or the way the Sopranos killed the mafia genre because it did it so damn well. No one really wants to touch it after that. Or Scorsese with Goodfellas and stuff like. And it seems like post those Scorsese's era of those kind of movies and Donnie Brasco and like that era, and then topping it off with the Sopranos, finishing that off. Not a lot of people have done that again. So some could say people don't want to touch it because if you can't do it better, you can't do it better. I think with the apocalyptic thing and with zombie stuff, no, because I think shows like, even though I didn't watch it, I know Joe likes it, like Zombie U or Santa Clarita Diet, came at things like that in interesting perspectives. I think post-apocalyptic stuff can be done interesting, and there's room for expanding and interesting stories in worlds like that. I just don't think The Walking Dead's it. And Walking David, I need you guys to take a drink on my behalf. That ending, fuck RJ. Some of the worst dialogue ever on screen. I believe. Do you know I knew you'd come here tonight, David? Because I believe. I believe in love. True love conquers all. Everybody. We're going to be talking about another show here in a minute, but we will take Walking Dead questions and comments all night. So thank you guys so much for the Walking Dead discussion this year. While we're talking about this other show, we will answer some Walking Dead questions if they come in. But we will be switching over to talk about the most recent episode of Shogun, episode 6 here. So let me say goodbye for the Walking Dead stuff, or officially start the second half here. So this is pretend end. Thank you, Joe. Thank you for joining me to talk about the Walking Dead. If you like this stuff, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Excuse me. Share this channel with a friend. Help more people find us. We need it. Talk to you guys next Walking Dead adventure. Goodbye. Okay, we're back. Now, let's switch this over and talk about Shogun. But as I mentioned, if you guys want to ask some more Walking Dead questions, especially at the end, our Shogun recap will be a lot quicker because I don't want to miss a thing of this show, so it's hard for me to actually take a recap. So I'm basically reading somebody's article. So we'll get through this in a second. And this was another pretty simple episode of not simple, but showing, not telling, and just a great episode of Shogun. Let's get into this here for a second. Welcome back, everybody. Oh no, I forgot to change the screen. There we go. That's better. Let's try that again. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Phil's Recap and a Review. This is for Shogun, Episode 6, The Ladies of the Willow World. And I haven't seen that good of a whorehouse scene in my entire life. Oh my goodness. How intense was that? What a great episode of Shogun. This show just continues to get better and better. This episode added more depth to Mariko's character, added more depth to Torinaga. Fuji had only like a couple of moments, but still stealing scenes with her eyes. A lot of moving the plot along in this episode and setting up what's going to be a really crazy conclusion to this series. I can already feel it. They're hinting at it where we get into that, like, the big sort of, what's the thing at the end? The Crimson Sky. And getting the whole Crimson Sky ending and leading into thinking about that eventually happening. The fallout from the earthquake situation. Amazing, Joe. Another...
What's going on with your mic through most of this intro, Phil? You sounding all electric-y.
I sound electric-y. Oh, no.
Yeah, that's better.
Is it better? Maybe it was because the music was playing too. I don't know.
Probably.
I'm sorry for my electric guitar sound. Is my voice? Let me know in the live chat
Modulated voice.
If my voice is sounding auto-tuned. Is it still sounding auto-tuny?
No, it's better now.
Okay. And but I was singing along to my own song there, Joe. I was doing the auto-tune situation. But
it's coming back. Weird. I don't know if it's happening on the broadcast. But
let me know in the live chat if it's happening. If it's just happening for Joe, you may need to bounce out and bounce in again. But let me know in the live chat if it's if my voice is doing the computerized thing, and I'll jump out and jump back in. Phil, Joe, personal question time. Do you normally bring your interpreter into the room during pillow time? Do I bring my interpreter to the horror? Yeah, absolutely. If you're
bring as many people as I can into the room during pillow time.
I want an audience, Joe, when it really comes down to
an audience, participation,
especially with a place like this. It's obviously super expensive, and they put on that whole guided show to you. It's really good. Sonic says the sounds okay, so it's probably you. If it continues, Joe. Just bounce out of the call and bounce back in. It'll probably sound better.
Sounds fine, man.
Okay. So, Joe, I don't even know where to start with this episode. I guess the thing. I guess at the start, we're going to talk about this in slightly different way, as I said. This writer, and I do want to mention this because we talked about this last week and indulged this with the writer who wrote this recap about how Lady O might be in on Torinaga's plan here, and no, she isn't. Definitely not. But an amazing performance there. I thought she was a little mustache twirly in last episode, but she's not. I didn't see the whole foundation with her and Mariko's character, and I thought she added extreme depth. Her manipulation of her whole plan and her manipulation tactics are really well fleshed out. Just so many amazing performances on this show. Like, no actor is letting down this performance. And we're talking about other shows. We're talking about the acting. This acting on this show is like next level. This is where we get into this show being on the level of with performance-wise of like Mad Men, Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, where it's like every character works with every character. There's no one actor where, even on The Sopranos, where you're like, oh, the guy's playing the FBI, skip that. That dude sucks. So, AJ's a bad actor.
This is maybe better than anything that you've just mentioned. Maybe better than anything we've talked about ever.
This show?
Yeah. That's how I feel about it right now. I really do. I'm like, maybe it's been the starvation in the desert. you know, and I'm being handed a shit sandwich, so hey, it's at least it's a sandwich.
No, because no, I disagree with that, Joe.
And I disagree with that too.
Because
That's why I'm saying
there's
this is the
several
best shit that I've
shows.
seen in a long time, including any of the shows that you mentioned.
Yeah, I've definitely talked to you recently about shows that you've loved and that you've really enjoyed watching through. Whether it be a couple on Netflix recently, another Samurai, the Red Samurai anime series. There's different seasons of different shows that you've mentioned to me that you like and you've watched and you're kind of getting into. The way it's not just not Succession, friggin' what do you call it? Ben Stiller show.
Shrinking or Severance.
Severance, yeah, Severance. You really enjoyed. There's other shows you really enjoyed and liked watching. So it's not like you've been starved completely on it. It's
right, and I loved Ted Lasso. And
you liked The Last of Us at least.
I really didn't.
But that's an example. It's good to talk about that because as hyped as you are going into Shogun, you were equally as hyped going into that. So you
correct. Correct. Yes, absolutely. I was just as excited for The Last of Us as I was for this.
This could have let you down big time as well.
It could have, and anybody who watches us knows that just because I was excited for it beforehand does not mean I'm going to be happy with what
that makes it worse for you. If people or your excitement or somebody else makes you excited for something, you're even harsher on it. You were watching, especially where you're you in particular. I mean, this is a you thing. Like if someone tells you something's a good thing, like you're gonna watch this, you're gonna love this, you're gonna see this, or if it's something that you have a partial interest, like liking the original series, and
that makes me watch it with even more of a critical eye. Why did this person like it? Why was this so good? What about this made them tell me I need to watch this? And I'm sorry, but if you're telling me, like me in particular, the way my brain works, that I'm gonna like something, then I better like that's a Phil is when Phil tells me about something, he's like, I don't want to tell you you'll like it, but I think you might want to watch it.
Right. I've learned to talk
that's
around
how
that.
Phil tells me to watch.
I'm like, maybe you should watch Severance. I think you might. I think I think the last thing I said that about was Shrinking. I was like, I don't know if you're gonna like it, but you should watch Shrinking.
Like I just finished Three Body Problem, and that is fucking trash. I do not understand how anybody has compared this to like great television or great writing or whatever, but that first season started weak, started to pick up a little steam, ended fucking completely, never like
I haven't
got
watched
anywhere, and then ended completely fucking weak.
I can't
nothing about that season was good. I should have stopped halfway through.
I can't speak to it because I haven't watched anything. I do know that some people are enjoying it, but anyways,
yeah, some people are loving it. People are loving the performance, the writing, but like I honestly from
let's
there's so many things from Go. I'm like immediately.
But let's
there's no kind of like mystery. There's no like, oh, what's going on? Like, really, people are killing themselves because the science doesn't work.
Again, let's cycle. let's
2 plus 2 doesn't equal 4
Let's get back
anymore.
to Shogun.
For some reason, my car still works. What?
Let's get back to Shogun. So why couldn't you talk about this when we were talking about that other show? Now we're talking about Shogun. I actually want to talk about.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So that's fine. She's a hater. Okay, so anyways, so our episode ultimately starts with Mariko and Oshiba growing up together. We get a flashback of Oshiba going through hardship to conceive their heir. We got AK in the live chat. Great to see AK. Luna says, I like Three Body Problems, but I read the books and understood what was not shown. And I don't know if you know this, Joe, not mean to fuel your fire on that, but I don't know if you know that Three Body Problems.
Yes,
Dan, is a Dan and Dave
part
show.
of my
is that part of your critical?
That might be part of my critical watch and why I'm watching it and completely like oh, the nice old Asian lady that's trying to like burn down the fucking world that my super secret spy agency sent me to fucking watch, sat with me on a plane. So yeah, have your 10 minutes alone. I don't need to know what you're going to go do in this old top secret fucking communist Chinese facility from another fucking country? Sure, lady, go ahead. Take your time. Don't worry. I'll be there in 10 minutes. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, just completely absolute. No, sorry, lady. You can't have 10 minutes. I'm going with you. Be happy I don't throw you off this cliff right now so I don't have to continue to follow you around for the rest of my fucking life.
Anyways.
You brought me to fucking rural China, you fucking douchebag, just so you could fucking kill yourself. You could have done that back at the fucking Days Inn and fucking Chicopee or whatever the fuck it was we goddamn fucking took off from. God, like, really? Really? Good show? Are you kidding me? That scene alone, I know that's late in it, but like, that comes up immediately as like, really, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? From the, like, there's no part of this show that isn't completely fucking predictable. There's no part of this show that isn't completely fucking like there's things about it that these super smart physicists are just complete fucking morons.
Okay, can we talk about Shogun now?
Yes, please. Let's go. I'm sorry. I don't know why we're talking about that anyway. That has nothing to do with Shogun at all.
Yeah, I know, because you were trying to say
Luna.
No, that was you.
Bad Luna.
That was you. You were
No,
that was all
Luna.
you. That was all
Bad
you.
Luna.
That was you, Joe. You started talking about how much you like Shogun. It's the only show that you like, and then you started bringing up Three Body Problems for some reason.
Bad Luna. I'm blaming Luna.
Yeah.
Luna, it's your fault.
Yeah, it's always.
You made Phil read that fucking.
It was all.
What's not shown.
It was all.
Shit.
It was all Luna's fault. She fueled the fire. Okay, so anyways, back to this shortened recap here. We get a flash showing Oshiba going through some hardships to convince the heir to take the tackle. Do you think she's you know too much? I don't want to ask you. Did she really get pregnant by the Taiko, or did she just trick the Taiko and get pregnant by somebody that wasn't him?
At this point, it doesn't matter, and you can't ever fucking tell. There's no DNA testing.
Right. I'm just curious if that's how she was the one person in 20 years.
They kind of made it feel like, and she says like, oh, and you know how I did it? And it was going to be like by fucking everybody else in the building before I went and fucked him. Right. But like, they made her go like, by stretching out the demon's eyes or some shit, like all like super creepy behind him, like she just crawled out of the fucking TV and ring or some shit.
It was pretty creepy.
It was very well done.
It was.
Like, don't get me wrong, it was very well done.
But
like, it was still I gotta say, even though it was well done, it's still I'm calling out that scene as being like, I mean, in the same like, as being very pedestrian.
So
like, just down to her like evil little mustache twirly, as you put it earlier.
She's a little bit like that. So she's making allies in Osaka, dictating Ishido's moves. However, this appears to be splitting the council even further, leading to one of the dudes being murdered by Ishido. So the Portuguese are getting nervous, and they're thinking about
her father. You know who her father was, right?
No.
Ochiba no Kata's father was the ruler of Japan. Mariko's father kills.
Okay.
She doesn't, she is not killed with that ruler of Japan, but, her life probably changed drastically after this guy was murdered, and she ends up being a consort to the Taiko after her dad is dead, after Mariko's father kills himself and his whole family aside from Mariko. But she still holds a grudge towards Toranaga because she could see him like whispering in the shadows. Right,
she thinks she sees him more than some other people do. So I'm just gonna get through this quick recap, and then we'll break down this stuff a little bit further. So we see Shirayama being murdered by Ishido. The Portuguese are getting nervous and may be preparing to switch sides to Toranaga, whose remaining loyalists in Osaka might assist in this. Hiro escapes. The old guy, the old samurai, escapes and leaves his family there. Toranaga further rewards Blackthorn, who gets thief and high military command, and he wants none of them, reiterating he just wants to leave Japan. And Toranaga doesn't give a fuck. He's just like, what can we do to manipulate this guy to make him stay there? Bunty is ordered in an amazing scene, and we'll break this down a little bit further later, but in an amazing scene where Bunty goes over to talk to Toranaga and it's like, I embarrassed myself and I hate Mariko and blah blah blah, and Toranaga's just like, oh, you motherfucker, just divorce her, like just leave her or shut the fuck up.
He's like, no,
And
I'm not gonna do that, because if I did that, she would just kill herself,
or
She's
she
been
would end
asking
up with
to die
Angel,
the whole time.
or she would end up with Angel or
Either
something.
way, I'm too bitter, because she's never thought, like,
And
it's you understand Toranaga's frustration.
oh yeah, and then he's just like, fuck you, just don't see her for a week. That, like, he's like, you're not allowed to look at her for a week. Get the hell out of here. You're punished. Bad boy. I love when Toranaga's I don't give a fuck at the way he handles this guy and Yabu. It's much more humorous than some of his other interactions, and how much he does not give a flying fuck for these human interactions. And to the point where yes, people want to say that someone asked me, would I bring a translator? I mean, Toranaga set that up. He's like, he's like, no, why don't you go to the consort and have sex with Blackthorn, and you guys can both chill out a little bit, and so I don't have to deal with this crap. Go. Basically, that's why he told her.
Okay, there's more to it than that. So since we're getting into the order to go to the consort, we're going
to break down that scene a little bit. Let me just get through the
Right.
quick recap here. But yes.
But I want you to take him, so that way, if you don't fuck him and watch him fuck, I know that, there's nothing between you, or you're okay with it. But if you can't go and do at least that, there's something between you. And then also, if you end up fucking him also in that time, they're going to tell me. And it feels like everybody is telling her so much that nobody's going to open their mouth, yada, yada, yada. Even fucking, what's his name? Blackthorn is like, feels like we're being watched.
Yeah.
Like, it definitely feels like we're being watched.
Yeah, that whole scene, we'll break that down further, but that whole scene was intense and so well shot and so well filmed and so amazingly done, where with the translation and how that all worked out, and the way that the court sent that up.
That scene, the way they filmed that, when the woman gets up and moves where she's talking from.
Right, and they just face off with Mariko,
and they fade her out behind her, and
it was
they
so
have
well
her
filmed.
translating. It feels like this woman is very good at her craft. She knew. Remember, this is the same.
With the Yabu, and knew that he wanted to watch
in episode 1, that knew who she was dealing with, and I don't want this guy to leave the room, because this guy might even fucking kill me if I'm alone with him, because he's that fucking weird. Also, I know he's a voyeur, because he's watching people listening to their death. He wants to know the moment of whatever, of death, of climax, that other people like. So she's able to read that, and she's able to also sit here in this room in this moment, also knowing what she's known from her lover, the nephew to Yabu, that there might be something, there might be rumors. She knows that
I think his name is.
They're all staying in the same house together, and this and that she's able to, when she sits down, she can feel something, she reads something, she knows in the way that they're even speaking, or the way that Blackthorn is looking at her, that she reads that so perfectly. And when she moves, it was done so well. I don't think I've seen quite like a scene like this.
No, I haven't seen
maybe ever, or the longest time.
No, it reminded me something. It reminded me something out of like almost Drugstore Cowboy or something. It was very surreal. That's why I was saying at the beginning, I haven't seen a whorehouse scene like that, or a consort scene like that in forever, or ever really. It was almost poetry.
Neither is Blackthorn. We don't have whorehouse. Your whorehouse is very nice.
Right. But Joe,
from.
to your point, it was almost visual poetry. And then the way it all mixed
right down
in,
to the way she pours years to train.
Yeah, that's a hell of a pour. Blackthorn's so amazing. Anyways, let's catch up with a couple of chats here. This episode with the flashbacks gave me a better understanding of who everyone is, who's who. Absolutely Sonic. Joe, do you believe that Toranaga does not want to be Shogun, or is that a ruse? I think that's I'll answer that too. I think that's part of his game. I think it's the person that gets the power doesn't ask for the power. It's a Klingon thing too, where Martok becomes king and Worf gives him becomes emperor.
Well, here's the thing: does he want to be Shogun or not? Like, does he want to be put in a place where someone else has the power that can order his death at any fucking
Joe,
moment?
it's funny.
Or does he want to be the guy that does that?
Absolutely. I think he doesn't want to have the be on the dartboard, but I agree with you there. He doesn't want to be in a position where idiots like a sheet in his mind.
Yeah,
idiots like a
sheet. If anybody's going to do it, it's going to be me.
Right.
But I don't want to have to do it.
Right. I don't want that damn council to be able to vote on my death when they don't like that I have so much power. I think it's more that kind of stuff. AK says, who is this Toranaga person you speak of? His name is Scorpion. Fernandez T with the super chat donation was wondering the same thing, Phil, but I guess it doesn't matter who the baby's father was. The mama's heir is something important. I mean, I guess you're right. It doesn't matter as much ultimately, but I do think the vibe I got is that she did not actually doesn't actually have the proper heir, that she has a little Joffrey Baratheon thing going on.
No, she was put in a position where her life changed drastically enough where I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot more to the in-between from when she gets chosen to be consort for Tycho as to when her father dies that we don't see.
I'm just saying.
And if you kind of read between that lines where she's being chosen as a consort to begin with, she was probably going to be or already like in training to be
right. I don't deny that she's going to be the consort and stuff. Or that she was a consort directly to the Tycho. I'm just saying I think the Tycho's boys didn't swim and she decided to do
Right. I agree too. If there's that many fucking people that tried before you, the girls weren't defective.
Right. Not 20.
She's smart enough to have known that she had to get pregnant beforehand or right shortly thereafter.
Exactly. I think she did a little Baratheon magic or did a little Lannister magic right there. Anyways, so from a woman's perspective, it was very tender, very beautiful, very very romantic, a very romantic horror. See, I feel like I'm Blackthorn. I'm all crass like Blackthorn. I read that wrong. Was wondering the same thing, Phil, but I guess it doesn't matter. Also, whose father is baby's mama of the? Oh wait, whose father is baby's mama's of the heir? Is he someone important? Whose father is baby's mama of the heir?
The guy that set up the council that dies earlier.
Tycho?
The old guy the Tycho.
Tycho.
The Tycho, the heir is the Tycho's kid. The consort and the Tycho's kid. The woman that the consort is sitting with during the theater is the Tycho's wife. She looks like she's dressed as a nun almost.
Right.
A blue outfit with a blue.
She gets a couple of funny scenes with Toranaga earlier in the scene.
And she tells the chick, dude, you chose the wrong fucking side to go against Toranaga. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, he's smart.
He's smart and he has nothing against your child. He loved the Tycho and he loves the Tycho's fucking kid.
AK, I've been making way too many Star Trek references tonight because I'm in the middle of rewatches at the moment. Sonic, it's being slightly under the weather. Star Trek and The Godfather are my go-to. Sonic says, question, is the consort the same thing as a salt wife? To me, I would assume a salt wife is more of a Gumar type situation where it's a consort
is more of a prostitute.
Prostitute,
high-class prostitute.
Yeah, high class.
Some consorts are like just for one person. Like the king has consorts and nobody else is fucking the king's
But I would assume a salt wife is more of like a Gumar, like a wife when you're away at a different port. You like your girl at a different port, but I could be wrong about that.
See, a consort has a much wider meaning than a salt wife or a Gumar or a prostitute. It could incorporate all of those things under the label consort. There's like, you wouldn't call a crack track prostitute
no, I mean
a consort, but like
isn't food
they are if.
But then there's consorts that also wouldn't necessarily lay with somebody. Like Fuji is essentially his consort.
Cuddle or like sugar sugar daddies
that's a different
situations.
that's a different thing altogether. But I'm saying she's working for him and kind of running his house, so she's a consort of sorts. But he's not. He doesn't lay with her, and
Because he chooses not to.
right. But that's what I'm saying. In some situations, you may choose not to. So it's not even necessarily about sex in all situations. So Blackthorn gets
There's a completely different outlook about you gotta suspend your European-centric, your Eurocentric, or your American view of what sex and coupling, or as they say, pillowing, or prostitutions, or brothels, or even stepping out on family. There is a completely different idea about what all of this is in other countries.
Yeah,
right? Like,
everything has a different perspective. And I think this is what the
Right.
show is doing good at making even better than other historical fictions that I've seen before of making
they're
decisions
really trying to tell you that this is
not
not
now.
a bad thing.
And this is not
a
now.
thing that just is. That, like, it's part of everyday life. It's not like you're a bad person for going to see.
Going to the
Right.
But
Like-
but anyway, so Bunty is ordered to stay away from Mariko for the time being, for a week, so she can do her job as a translator. Blackthorn gets ordered to go for a night with Kiku, the courtesan, and Omni has taken as his lover, which gives him another reason to hate Blackthorn, and that's part of the episode thrown in. The feelings between Mariko and John persist, and our hot scene will break this down a little bit in a second. We get into more of our breakdowns. Toranaga reveals to Mariko that the father planned a great future for keeping her. This was an amazing scene, and again,
you never do this.
Yeah, you never knew your father was like wanting you to persevere and survive, and it was such a
This
great
got me,
moment.
and
I cried in this
shows.
moment.
And it kind of shows, like, they set up that he made sure that she knew how to fight. He made sure that she was married off before even Toranaga, like, maybe convinced him to get her married off, or get what your daughters out of the family before you go do this, because they'll all be killed. Like, there's a lot that goes into the revelation here when Toranaga says this. It's very I
got
was
emotional.
on the edge of my seat, and I was like welling up.
Yeah, me
when
too.
he was saying
I
this.
totally cried. I was feeling her this whole episode emotionally, and going through her whole back and forth. You understood so much more about her in these last two episodes, and they did a great job of showing us all these things early on in the season within her, but not explaining it quite yet, and waiting for it to organically fit into the story. And between the alcoholic dinner season, the drinking game, and this particular scene, and the courtesan scene, the whorehouse courtesan scene, that all really told us, if that's all the character progression we get in Mariko for the rest of the season, that's one of the greatest character Rolodexes we flip through that I've seen in a long time, in the way that I really understand everything about her now. Or not everything, but you understand exactly her perspective, and you can see the sort of moment in the scene with her and Toranaga, where she wakes up to, like, seeing her pride in her life coming back, and not wanting to die, like being awoken in that. And it's just such a great performance, and cannot be overshadowed by, again, Blackthorn and Toranaga's actors having great performances tonight, and all those little bit part things too. And I can say that she was a little mustache twirly, but the actress that played Oshiba tonight just created so much gravitas on screen. And then I mentioned her earlier too. Fuji has that one scene where she's literally sipping tea and hearing about and talking with her eyes, and she steals the scene and steals a moment
during
in
the
this episode.
negotiations.
Yeah, when she's just sitting there going, and she's
They're
just
talking about the teacups, and like, and well, nobody can see anything, and she's like, oh,
Yeah, it's
yep,
just
yep,
Joe?
It's just she like blew up the spot at the moment too. It's like Frasier in the background of a Cheers episode. It's just like reacting.
She's a great actress. She's stealing every scene.
Dude,
she's in,
she is so even when she's
with
not
just
trying
her
to.
expressions and like
Fuji is like her. I've said this last. Fuji and Yabu are my two favorite characters beyond the main characters, just because they're adding so much without getting as much to do. And like Yabu is again in this time to write another will, like his whole vibe in the way he deals with his nephew and stuff like that is incredible. But just to finish off this recap, and then we are breaking down these scenes a little bit more, like certain in character stuff. But Toranaga reveals to Mariko the father's plan. Toranaga decides to make the first move after hearing about the other council member's death, in saying that the Crimson Sky thing that he sort of poo-pooed earlier is on, and they got to do where the Crimson Sky is basically they all go to the Capitol, all the best warriors line up at the Capitol and just go in with the swords, and the night bleeds red.
It's not a lot of attack on the city.
Yeah.
And now that fuckhead is executing other council members, like there's no other choice.
Yeah, this Yoshiba's gone stupid. Or what's his name? Yeah, whatever his name, Yoshida. So the first breakdown, Oshiba and Mariko. Let's deal with the flashbacks. Right off the bat, we're getting a major reveal that Mariko and Lady Oshiba were known as friends. They were childhood friends. And Joe mentioned this earlier. Kurdo or something like that, the previous ruler of Japan who Mariko's father ended up assassinating. Turns out that Oshiba is this guy's daughter, and Mariko grew up in the household as a ward, hence their friendship. And they, again, Joe, they didn't say
She didn't grow up in the household as a ward. She grew up in the same city or with them, but her father is a lord. Her father, the one that kills, the heir's mother's father, the ruler of Japan. He's like a general, a lord of. He's basically like Toranaga. He's up there. He's no slouch. He's one of the. I think they even say at some point in the season that he's like the right-hand man of the general, of the ruler of Japan. One other thing I wanted to point out is last week I was like, oh, it's only been like a few weeks. No, last episode I rewatched it, and they say that it took the husband, but what's his name?
Bunty. I just call him Bunty.
Bunto. It took him 22 days to get back to them.
So this is like months.
So he's been there. We're gonna call it at least 2 or 3 months, three months or more, maybe.
Okay.
I guess we'll say
wrong one here, but
I think they mentioned a couple of weeks or something like that in one of the other episodes. But yeah.
So we get. Okay, so it turns out that Oshiba is this guy's daughter. Okay, we get scenes of them enjoying nature together, Mariko training. We get to see more of how she's such a good fighter that we saw back in episode 3. And we see them saying goodbye to each other when Mariko has to marry Bunty. There's also a scene showing Mariko observing some of the previous ruler's tyrannical actions before she returns to bed, where she's cuddling with Oshiba. And Oshiba is oblivious to her father's kind of psychotic nature. Questioned by Toranaga in the present, Mariko states that she hadn't spoken to Lady O ever since she was married, so it seems the two haven't talked in a while. Somewhat understandable, of course, that Mariko's father killed Lady O. One crucial detail is O thinks Mariko's father was merely a pawn in Toranaga's schemes, so thinks that Toranaga is ultimately responsible for it. Yeah. Is there any evidence? There's not really. She just thinks Toranaga, you mentioned this earlier, Joe, Toranaga is just a little bit too smart. Like she's calling him out. It's like when you see somebody running game, you're like, I know this guy's running game, and no one else sees it. And she feels like she can read him well, and I think I mean, she's right. Toranaga's playing. I hate the saying, but I've said it every week. He's playing chess, and everyone else is playing checkers, or he's playing three-dimensional. He's playing a different game. So, after the father's assassination, Oshiba was made one of his successor's wives and became the sole woman to bear an heir to the Taiko. It's implied that she had to go through great hardships to conceive another reason to hate Toranaga. So whether she went through hardships of having to take potions and medicines or whatever to become, something that the Taiko needed, or I think the Taiko shot some blanks and she ended up going elsewhere to do it. Was the only one smart enough to go elsewhere to do it. Okay, and that's the end of that story. Then we get the Senate stuff that we're talking about in Osaka. There's things that's tense. Lady O is in Ishido's ear, and he's basically doing her bidding of the Council of Regents, though the man controlling with the allure of effectively becoming the sole regent of the childhood. Embodied by Lady O, Ishido takes the entire council hostage to force a vote on Toranaga's replacement, spreading rumors that Toranaga is planning to kill their heir. It's funny that he'll do this, but he won't just abandon the council altogether, Joe. But he will kidnap them and ultimately kill one of the members. But he won't. It shows.
Well, it's all because this is done as bandits in the woods when this guy was leaving the city. If he does it and it's public, he's dishonorable. He's done something he shouldn't have done, and he'll have to kill himself. So he has to do it all.
So does this give him plausible deniability, essentially?
Yes, exactly. It was bandit. It wasn't me. I didn't do that.
And that seems to be his game too. Like I don't know, shit just happens. He's like he's what again? It's very Godfather with where Toranaga's Don Corleone and this is like Don Bazzini and stuff like that. I knew it was Bazzini all the time. It's whatever. So this leaves he ends up killing the dude, and this leaves another council seat open that's probably taken by the two Catholic regents. Even the Portuguese are getting a little nervous. Lady O is known to be against Christianity, and the priest dude comes to the other guys like, we gotta side with Toranaga in the conflict. And he's like, why are you team Toranaga? And he's like, because Toranaga is smart. These rest of the guys are idiots. And don't you want to side with the guy that's gonna win? And then Oshiba is warned by the Taiko's former consult Day something that she picked the wrong ally in Ishido. And I love that moment too. You talked about that earlier, where they're basically like, yeah, do you really want to go against Toranaga? And I think that's a very smart perspective to have. Would you, knowing what she knows about Toranaga, I guess that's the villain curse. And to your point of the mustache thingy, a smart villain in some situations might know that they're overmatched and be able to say, yeah, I got to bide my time. I got to, and really let Toranaga win and then maybe sneak up behind him and stab him in the night or something shady to a certain extent. She's already doing sort of shady backhand tactics anyway.
Yep.
He's going to win this battle. Like, he's not going to let someone like Ishido outmaneuver him. It's just not gonna happen, pal. It's like me beating you in one-on-one basketball. It's just not gonna happen. You know my moves. You know exactly what I did. You can see me in slow motion. It's like me playing the dude. Like you know certain people you just have a read on and you have a thing on, and Dave P's never gonna beat me in a poker hand. You know certain people and you have certain people under your thumb like that. And Toranaga has this council under his thumb, and it seems like Lady O is somebody that should be smart enough to be able to figure that out. But she's blinded by her rage, and that's what I like about these characters, Joe. None of these characters are.
Well, that's her target.
Right, and she's blinded by it.
Always been Toranaga. Like, I think she's the one that, like, they blame it on Toranaga in the start, that Toranaga was marrying different families together, consolidating power, and so we're going to, that was against the Taiko's wishes. I believe that it was her pulling the strings from the very start that made that an issue in the first place. These weren't big family marriages that were getting him any real power or that much new territory or any shit like that, but it was an excuse to set this whole shit off.
Yeah.
Toranaga has always been the target, and she thought that was going to be easy and accomplished real quick, and he was already going to be gone by this point.
No, she thought she Peter Bailished essentially the council into killing him, but she underestimated his ability to squirrel his way out of that. She sort of set the thing in motion about ousting him and killing him and killing his whole clan. And she thought initially that what's his name that Ishido would be would be capable enough to pull it off, and instead he sort of bumbled the ball because he waited for.
Because this wasn't anything he ever really wanted to do. He's only doing this because he's getting pulled by one of her pubic hairs.
Yeah, and someone said in the live chat, she's the actual leader. We're actually seeing who is responsible for all of this, setting this all in motion. That's why I'm calling her essentially the little finger in this. But I think she's doing it for not just for chaos. She's doing it to further her plan, particularly, which is revenge on Swiftus on Toranaga. So not much else to talk about her and her plan and Ashido's stuff. Ashido is coming after him. But essentially it's going to be interesting to see if Toranaga gets there before Ashido gets to him. It seems like now we're going to see an attack on Osaka. So we're not going to, so Ashido's in a more defensive position here, but I still got to put my money on Toranaga, and I don't want you to say anything because you know how this ends. So the world of the Willows in the Crimson Sky. It's not just Osaka that's in upheaval. Thousands have perished from the natural disaster at the end of episode 5, including many of Toranaga's soldiers. We find out that...
Yeah, all the cities that were in the area, all the towns, unless it was that localized, or that close to the epicenter where they were, or if this was, came from a distance and rocked them, maybe it rocked, the city just as much for a bit.
Yep.
But I don't know. I don't know for sure how far away it was.
It seems like the city was okay so maybe it was more localized to where they are, or the city just got some aftershocks. It puts him in a precarious position that doesn't help. The conflict is brewing amongst his own ranks due to his generous treatment of Blackthorn, who, due to his courage during the disasters, is awarded yet more land and more titles, and everyone's giving the Mel eyeball to him the whole time. He's named Admiral of the Kanto.
Rising through the ranks quick.
Yep, Admiral of the Kanto and General of the Artillery. He takes the artillery away from Yabu's nephew Omni, who's like, what? This dude's having sex with my girl. This dude is
taking my army.
I pissed on him. Yeah, exactly. He's
which I thought was great. She was like, oh, tell him I can't. Like, she still looks all messed up from bed. And she's in the next morning. She's like, I count the seconds till I get to see this dude again.
Yep. And I love how also in this episode we get more of Mariko's horrible translations.
She's like, I ain't telling him that.
No,
I ain't saying that.
Did you hear what she actually said? She says he prefers I think she said he prefers women from his. At one point, he said something like, you're the most beautiful hooker I've ever seen, or something like that. And she goes, he prefers girls from his own town, or something like that. Like she was totally sassy translating through this whole entire episode, like jealous translating through this entire episode. And in that moment where what's her name says, I can't wait till I see you again. And it's like she had an adequate time or something. I forget what she said, but it was something to that effect.
Yeah.
So, but everyone's pissed. Yabu's nephew Omni, who has just received a command that of that last episode, is not taking the demotion that well, and it gets worse. Toranaga, who sees the strife between Blackthorn and Mariko and cannot deal with a fucking shit for a second, act to try to get the English guy, Blackthorn on his side fully. He orders Mariko to book the courtesan for Blackthorn as a reward and relax him a little bit. She's reserved about it, but he's like, you go with him too. And he gets Omni's lover, Kiku, who is not going to help endear him more towards John. Not having learned his lesson, Toranaga's son, Naga, is hanging around with Omni, who is seemingly trying to position himself against Blackthorn using the young man's daddy issues and inferiority complex to fan the jealousy. And it's not working in this situation at all. He's like, and Yabu, he's trying the same stuff with Yabu too, where he's like, well, how can you take this now? And Yabu's like, we're all in here, dude. At this point, it's too late. You screwed this up, so I can't bounce between people anymore because you killed you made the decision to kill all Ishido's guys. So Ishido now was not if I go back to the city, he'll kill me. So I'm forced to be all in with Toranaga here. So, and you're bitching about Blackthorn, get all in or kill yourself.
Time to write a new will. I got to take this kid out.
Exactly. Time to write a new will. It was great. Mariko is a G. She is amazing, AK, and her translations are next level funny. So in the tea house, we talked about this earlier, Joe, but to break it down the way the writer does here, we get an intense moment between Blackthorn and Mariko, who are both doing their best to keep their feelings from each other hidden, but they're not hiding anything from Kiku. She knows.
I'm not hiding anything from anybody at this point.
And I love how
Look, you can't take her eyes off her buns.
No, and they have that lightning chemistry that really built organically on the show, where it's earned. It's
I agree.
at this point, some shows they just tell you, hey, these characters love each
In the
other.
original, it was very quick and like
They're in love now.
weird. Yeah.
Yeah,
But this is much better.
This I felt it like right from the scene that they talked in the woods that ultimately led to Mariko pretending to be the Corazon for that night, and in him knowing and their bond afterwards, the uncomfortableness of him wanting to touch. In this scene right here, we didn't talk about it earlier, but when he leaves, when Kiku's like, okay, we'll go to the bedroom now, and she tells Mariko to come too, and she's like, no, I will go to bed right now. And Blackthorn walks past her and just does that hand touch, Joe. God damn it. I felt that from almost every breakup I've ever had in my life. Like the last time you touch somebody and you want to be with that person, you can't be with that person. That handhold moment sent me down like the emotional that set me up to cry later with the Toranaga scene with her. Like just that moment of like emotional intensity where he just rubs her hand as he's walking by. It was so well done. Anything. So Mariko were both doing their best to keep this hidden, anything they could use against them, especially the political climate. In this tense context, Toranaga's right-hand man, Hiro, escapes from Osaka and arrives in the fishing village where the army is camped. He brings news of Lady O's takeover and her lust for blood. Toranaga bids his council to formulate a plan on how to deal with the situation, and it's Crimson Sky, a secret plan that Toranaga and Hiro hatched together in the past, which will win in the end. Toranaga declines it at first, saying it's a suicide mission, but news of Sugi's suspicious death changes his mind. He's like, yeah, Ashido needs to be stopped. We just need to go full situation. Lady O's there. She's crazy and smart. We need to just kill them all. Crimson Sky demands an all-out attack on Osaka to topple the government and take the power as sole regent. It's exactly the opposite of what Toranaga hoped to do. He could namely lure out Ishido and defeat him in the field, but Toranaga repeatedly denied Blackthorn the return of his ships, and this is probably where that will come into. Okay, anyway, so that basically is all of our points in the episode, Joe. I mean, we could break down a few more things, but that's ultimately it leading into next week's episode, which episode 9 is called Crimson Sky. So I think we're gonna get
Crimson Sky,
but 2 more episodes, or maybe 8 is Crimson Sky. I'm not sure. I'd have to look back at the episode titles. Next week is not, or in a couple of days, episode is not the Crimson Sky. But we're gonna get 1 more episode of some setup, I believe. I actually want to look this up. Shogun season 1. Joe, anything else that we didn't talk about that you want to talk about in this episode?
There's
a lot of little moments, but I think
could go through every scene and how great they are. I really could, but it would be kind of pointless because I could do that with every scene of every episode.
So
little bits and little pieces, and they just keep getting better. They keep getting better. Every episode has me more engaged than the last.
Yep.
And that is apparently, judging by the television shit that's out there, that is apparently very difficult to do, is to not only engage an audience, but keep them engaged, and more so by the end of every subsequent episode.
Yeah, and to
right?
make you feel like at the end of every episode, that's the best episode. That's the best episode. Like, I don't even know. Thinking of all these episodes, I'm not even sure anymore. And because at these last 3 episodes in a row, I've been like, this is my favorite episode. This is my favorite episode. This is my favorite episode.
Right? Like, you might want, like, I know we complain a lot, like in the previous show we just reviewed, that there's a lot of, like, plot armor things. There was no point at which I was worried that either one of these 2 fuckers was going to die during that last episode, right? But in this show, even though at no point am I worried that like Toranaga's about to die, or Blackthorn's about to die, or Mariko's about to die, or any of my characters that I care about are really about to die. A, because I've seen it before, read it before, not read it, but like seen it before. But it doesn't make sense in any of the scenes for them to die. They do a great job explaining by showing why things or people don't get killed for just saying or doing or being foolish, or they do get killed for saying or being or doing foolish, right?
Yep.
You know why things happen. You're understanding the society, the cultural aspect of things that are going on, and you're seeing like, okay, even though like he's in a very dangerous situation, tenuous situation, and at any moment life here on this island seems like it could be taken with the blink of an eye, like it was not a problem, like nobody cares. You know exactly why this man is not dead yet, right? You know exactly why. You know exactly why he doesn't kill fucking Bunto and fucking on the street that night. You know exactly why, right? Unlike in the other show that we just watched, why at any point in time Rick didn't do what he just did
Yeah.
to that dude over the table, right? He could have done that on the park bench. He could have done that at any point in time, and you just could have wrote it from there, and it wouldn't feel as so stupid and drawn out.
We're talking about
bad decision, but you understand the reasons in this show.
Two completely different universes. So we have four more episodes left of Shogun. Next week, or this episode comes out on April 2nd on Tuesday night. If I end up going away, I might end up doing something this week before. I'm still not sure yet. It doesn't look like I'm going to be going away, so we will possibly be on talking about this at some point. But we may do episodes 7 and 8 together the following week. But anyways, I will figure it out. Chapters, Joe and I will talk about this a little off air, but we'll be coming on Sunday afternoons probably talking about it because weeknights are a little bit more difficult for Joe as he works early in the mornings. So I don't know if we could do a Tuesday night or a Wednesday night, but possibly we'll talk off air and figure that out. But the next episode is called The Stick of Time, Chapter 7. Chapter 8 is called The Abyss of Life. And then, I was right, episode 9 is Crimson Sky. So we have 2 more episodes leading up to the Crimson Sky. And then
because there's a lot that needs to be talked about. There's a lot of other plot points that need to be gone through. Like
I actually know about one thing was
Portuguese. Like
one thing was spoiled for me that I know happens in sometime in the next couple of episodes. I don't want to say it because I don't want to spoil it for people. I'll say to you off air, Joe. It's just one small thing that was spoiled for me. And I assume we're going to see it in episode 8, but I don't know. And then our season finale, which is on April 23rd, and Joe and I will try to be on right after that episode airs that night. That'll be the one we'll stay up late to watch. Chapter 10, A Dream of a Dream. Are they trolling us, wanting to call it A Dream of Spring?
Right.
But no. But that is that. Let's jump in the live chat and take a couple comments before we wrap this up. Naga is an idiot. He's mad. No one wants to see him as strong when he ain't doing shit. He's a shit bitch boy activities. Absolutely. And I think that makes a lot of sense why he's making these stupid mistakes. And I like how Toranaga handles him. He's like, he's not quite AJ stupid, but he is a stupid son. Fuji caught on to that foolishness the morning after it happened. They're not fooling anyway. Yeah, Fuji immediately knew. Like, she probably saw Mariko walk in. Fuji is the most aware individual in the entire island. One of the things that is different is that at this point we don't see the friendship between Toranaga and Blackthorn. Is this version better or worse? So, do you feel like in the original series they had Blackthorn and Toranaga had more of a friendship, Joe?
I think it's about on par.
It's about on par. Okay.
But as far as like which version of like being told is better, I'm really enjoying this one a lot more than the original.
And you love the original.
I do really, for a lot of reasons, but like, um, uh,
I'm trying to think
the
what an equivalent would be for me. Like if they remade something I really loved that was on early, like if the It movie ended up being actually good, like because I really enjoy the Tim Curry
Tim,
It thing. So if like the It movie had ended up being just as like better, I would have had to meet, or like the Nightmare
so
on Elm Street movies or something like that.
this is what I'll say. I'll say Richard Chamberlain's Blackthorn and this guy's Blackthorn could be considered on par. I like this new one better than Richard Chamberlain. But everything else has been upgraded, upscaled, done better in this version. But that comes from, the 30, almost 40 years, 40 something years,
No,
30,
it's
whatever,
just different.
however many fucking years
Television
it's been. Like, it's
storytelling on television and movies is completely different. It's
no, yeah, right, exactly.
it's you
And like
can't
what
go
you can show, what you can't show, what you do show.
caring about things matching up. Like you watch a show like Quantum Leap, for instance, which I thinking back, and I love it. I think it's a great show, but you compare even just the sci-fi shit on that show, or how every episode sort of had to set things up, like someone's watching it for the first time every single time. And television was just a different entity. I mean, free-form, long-form storytelling on television only existed in soap operas for years. And it wasn't until shows like St. Elsewhere dipped into it a little bit, Oz, Deep Space Nine, and then eventually making it popular like The Sopranos. But even The Sopranos in the early seasons were one-off episodes a lot of the times. Like to the point where you have so much interwoven plot and that kind of stuff. Miniseries were different. Something like this, and I assume I haven't watched.
And like Dune, and
I haven't watched Shogun Joe, but I assume it's like you were saying Dune. It's like you mentioned this earlier last week, I believe. It's like V or like some of those other TV situations that popped up. They were high quality for the era, but if you compare it against this, it's not. It's hard to compare the two things.
it still looks really good. They still paid a lot of attention to detail. I like what they did with. I keep bringing it back to the non-translating of any of the Japanese spoken.
Yeah, to make you feel
right. You're just as lost as Blackthorn is throughout it.
Is Mariko also the translator in that? Like, is she?
Oh, yes.
So her and Blackthorn speaking English are the only English that you have in the series, basically.
Oh, yep, and again, even in that series, they're speaking Portuguese, not English.
Ah, so that's more. So that's even more. So there's hardly any English in it.
Well, no, they don't speak Portuguese. They do it like they did in this, in that all the English spoken is in our brains supposed to be spoken Portuguese.
AK, I think in a lot of ways, even though I was exposed to Star Trek early, the first sci-fi series I really loved was Quantum Leap. As much as I went back and watched old Star Trek, the original series, later on in life, I didn't like it when I watched it when I was a kid, watching it with like my...
Yeah, but now you're big time Bacala Quantum Leap fan.
But I was huge. Yeah, Quantum Leap like bit me big time. And then the Star Trek movies did. I really liked Wrath of Khan, Search for Spock, and Whales, and even Star Trek 5 and 1 I kind of like, and I really like Undiscovered Country. And then I became a Next Generation, Deep Space Nine fan and all that sort of stuff. But early on, the original Star Trek series, I probably watched the animated series more than I watched the original one, and I liked it, but it didn't hook me and make me a huge fan, and I don't consider Star Wars, when I'm a kid watching it, those original movies are more fantasy than sci-fi. So I really do think the same thing for me, that the first sci-fi shit that really grabbed me was Quantum Leap. And I can look back on it and say the quality, if you compare it to modern TV, the story and the ideas and the episodes, great episodes, if it still hold up as a great episode. But you notice it's like when I was a kid watching The Honeymooners or watching, older shows, you can notice the difference in the quality and what was put into the show, in the sense of compared to the modern way that television shows are put together. I don't really like the modern Quantum Leap, but is it a higher budget show that cares a little bit more about matching up episode to episode? Yeah. That doesn't make it better, though. And that's where just because something has the checks and balance system doesn't mean it's necessarily better. The honesty of it in shows of those ages. So to that point, Joe, I guess you could look at a scenario where even though it came out earlier and the production values aren't as high, where you would come out and say, yeah, I do like the original better. And you were still making that decision in the first couple of episodes here. It's only in these last couple of episodes that I felt that you've been like, yeah, this show's better. Like I'm more into this right now, and it's not like you watched that recently too. You watched that within leading up to this. So it's still fresh in your mind. It's not like you're remembering it from your childhood nostalgia for it as well. And I think so. AK, I think that's a connection. And for whatever it's worth, I didn't get into Doctor Who. I can watch Doctor Who episodes now and appreciate it, especially the David Tennant stuff.
Doctor Who is trash, dude.
I like the David Tennant stuff.
Even the David Tennant stuff, trash.
I don't know about
All
being
of it.
trash, Joe.
All of it.
This is a spicy meatball that I don't want to.
My brother-in-law's a huge fan of Doctor
This is a
Who.
spicy meatball I don't want to be a part of. I'm not a huge
Not the
fan
new
of
stuff, thank you. Not the David Tennant trash. The old stuff.
the David Tennant stuff.
The old
is fun.
trash.
I like the David Tennant stuff.
It's old. Forgive it.
It's awful. Doctor Who is the worst sci-fi out there.
Oh.
It dredges the bottom of the barrel of it, all of it. It's awful.
I like some episodes.
Unwatchable.
I wouldn't say it's unwatchable. It's not one of my favorites, but I do like
Oh,
individual episodes.
stop it with your Babylon 5 hate.
Oh my goodness. Keep with the Babylon 5 hate. We'll get this kid on the show.
You only say that because your favorite stole all their shit. From
Listen,
Babylon 5.
listen. That there's no proof of that. All they stole was the space station concept. Come on, and Jeffrey Combs. But that's beside the point. Come on, who doesn't want Jeffrey Combs?
Hey, Doctor Who sucks. That's all we need to say.
I like David Tennant. I don't like the show necessarily, but I'm saying like I didn't watch that when I was a kid. I didn't get it. I watched Bill and Ted before I watched Doctor Who, and I thought when I first saw the Doctor Who traveling thing, I was like, they're copying Bill and Ted, like that. Like I'm saying where my mindset's coming from. Same with Quantum Leap. Like to me, Quantum Leap is that concept where Doctor Who doesn't do quite as well. Like episode of the week, getting into a situation, saving the day. Like to me, that Quantum Leap is what started that for me. Luna says Battleship. What was that?
The crows are starting to caw at me.
Okay, well, we'll finish up. Luna says Battleship Galactica. AK says favorite shows Quantum Leap, Alien Nation, Slider, Star Trek Next Generation, Doctor Who, as Tom Baker, the Fourth Doctor. Okay, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this season of The Walking Dead. Thank you for joining us for this Shogun discussion. Joe and I will be back very soon. I may or may not be away next week and the following week after. I may be gone from the 6th to the 15th, or I may not. Still up in the air, but either way, next week on Sunday evening, either from my phone out in my backyard of my friend in California, or here I'll be doing the Curb Your Enthusiasm final episode. And maybe Joe and I will go on Sunday afternoon to talk about the most recent episode of Shogun, to do like a quick show. And if I'm around, if not, we'll catch up and do something. We'll figure it out. But either way, we'll be talking about the remainder of the season of Shogun. And if we have to catch up and do one episode where we talk about 3 episodes and then we talk about the final 2. But to look at the schedule, I will definitely be here for episode 9 and 10. So even if we somehow miss 7 and 8, we will be talking about 9 and 10, and we'll touch on 7 and 8. But we'll try to get here for 7 and 8 as well. Joe, thank you for putting up with The Walking Dead.
You, dude.
And we will. And if you enjoy,
Thank you, Scott Gimple.
Thank you, Scott Gimple, for giving us tons of fun. And thank you to everyone in the live motherfucking chat and all of our super chat donators. And if you enjoyed this crap, please like it, please subscribe, please share it with your friends and help spread the word. Thank you to Luna, thank you to Sonic, thank you to AK, thank you to all of our other friends that popped in here tonight. Santovia Major, who else? Fernandez T, thank you for the super chat donation, Fernandez T. Thank you to all of our friends. Muhammad, my brother from another mother. Thank you to Ginny. I didn't see you, Jenny. Hello, panel. Ginny Mint. Great to see Jenny Mendes. Thank you to Tracy G. And if I missed you, because, of course I don't love you. No, if I missed you, I'm sorry. And keep your comments coming. Joe and I want to hear why you loved this season of The Walking Dead, why you're hating Shogun. We want to know. And Jay. Love you, Jay. Peace, guys.